Tick-tock, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood. With me now, we got Giant DOC and our good friend, Saajid Lipham. Everyone know Saajid? Everyone know Saajid by now? It's funny, we all had such high hopes for Saajid. We thought he was different from the other Dawah guys because he had the hikmah. He had the hikmah. Everyone else is doing all the stupidest things they could possibly do. Except Saajid. He had the hikmah. So we thought, hey, if this guy's got the hikmah, and if anyone can answer the Islamic dilemma, it's this guy. And he is giving the most embarrassingly terrible responses I thought possible. Like even like the random Dawah guys are giving better responses, the young guys, and they don't even know anything, but at least they're trying. At least they're trying to explain what Allah means and actually quoting Allah and so on. Saajid is... Hey, Giant DOC, how many videos has he posted now? I think it's like 6. Is this like his 6th video? Wait, I can't hear. I can't hear Giant DOC. Hang on, everyone. Don't worry. I've got this.
Yo.
What's
up?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's my fault. My bad.
It's all good. 1, 2. I think he's on like his 6th video. 3. And he's only covered one verse that's relevant to the Islamic dilemma, but he actually took that one in a completely different direction as well. So yeah, this is like a 6th. What is it? 6th video?
Yeah. If he has an answer, just tell us the answer. Can you please, Saajid, stop treating us like we're some Turkish soap opera, okay? When you tell them what happens in the end. Just tell us the answer now. I'm tired of hearing about what the Quran is and the Hadith is and the chains are. You brought 543. I was like, finally. And there was nothing there.
Now he went backwards.
Why?
He regressed. So, yes, for everyone's watching, did you catch that? He just posted his 6th. Count them. That's this many videos responding to the Islamic dilemma. And he actually tried to respond to one verse that we use for the Islamic dilemma. He responded to one verse in all of that mess. Everything else is just him. He's talking, he's pretending. And if you're one of his followers, if you're like dumb enough to be following him and listening to him, I guess he understands, hey, as long as I say words and act like and I put in my title that this is a response to the Islamic dilemma, and I say words in my video, my followers will be gullible enough to think that I completely destroyed it. And guess what, everyone? You can go to the comment section, look at his followers. He will spend an entire video not answering anything about the Islamic dilemma. And his followers, oh, yes, you've destroyed the Islamic dilemma. You've destroyed it. But these are not good times for Dawah, because that was the method of the past, ladies and gentlemen. That was the method of the past when Dawah guys were getting massive numbers of views and other people would respond. But, you've got hundreds of thousands of Dawah fans mindlessly believing what their guy says. And it's hard for other people, random people, to expose that because they don't have access to all those hundreds of thousands of fans. Well, now these Dawah guys are getting a couple thousand views on a video like this. And the people who expose those arguments, who expose the video, are getting way more views. So now the point is it doesn't work anymore. Back 10 years ago, if you got way more views, you were able to deceive people faster than someone could come and expose your deception. And that's when that was like the golden age of Dawah. It was the golden age of Dawah, when you could deceive people more rapidly than people could expose your deception. Now we are at a point where we can expose the deception faster than you can deceive people, and you can't figure out what's going on. And you can't figure out, what do we do now? What do we do now? What do we do now? Well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out because your religion's going to be crumbling. All right. Any thoughts? Hey, why don't you guys sort of give people a rundown of Saajid's responses so far? You don't have to go through everything, but just what stands out in your mind as far as how he's responded so far?
the first video was like, "Hi, I'm Saajid. The sky is blue. The Quran is what we build Islam on. The Hadith, the chains. This is what the chains are like. This is this. Bash Bible. Oh, did I tell
Bible
you?
dilemma.
Bible dilemma.
Yeah.
Oh, did I tell you about how the Quran is preserved? Oh, yeah. Next time I'll tell you about the Islamic dilemma. Next time I'll tell you about the Islamic dilemma.
We were on the cliffhanger for like
We
4
were like,
videos.
dude, are you serious? What else did he say?
Yeah, that was basically it. And
Mhm.
and then he finally did one video where he touched on one verse that is related to the Islamic dilemma, but he actually took it in a completely different direction. And that was only because the Quran was held hostage and he didn't want anything to happen to the Quran, so he was forced to actually produce that video. And now he's regressed and he went back to, this is the Quran. And oh yeah, we have something called Hadith as well. Oh, there's something called the Sirah, which is the biography. It's like he went back to that stuff.
And did I tell you about the letters at the beginning of the Quran?
Oh, yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
tell you? You have to have a sincere heart to
Yeah,
really
yeah.
believe what it means.
Yeah, and you have to see that it's got 3 letters at the beginning of this chapter. This shows you that this is a book of God, and you have to pronounce it you have to come at it with humility and bow down before it.
No, it just means you're gullible, Saajid.
Yeah,
That's what it means.
Yeah, what do you mean gullible? 3 letters. What else could have 3 letters? Nothing. Guys, watch his videos, everyone. We're not exaggerating here. This is the level of his responses to the Islamic dilemma.
I have to say, one of the highlights was him saying that the Quran being clear doesn't actually mean what we think it means.
It means it's unclear. Silly. That's what it means.
Yeah, how could you ever think that the Quran means what it says?
And it's only because of your insincere hearts that it's unclear to you.
It's like one of those. It's like one of those paradoxes. It's like on the front of your shirt you have, what the back of this shirt says is perfectly clear, and then you go to the back of the shirt and it says what the verse on front of the shirt says is unclear.
Yeah,
and it's like you don't know what to do, right? You don't know what to do there. But anyway, weird stuff. All right, guys. So we ready to jump into his latest video and see his latest non-response? By the way, guys, isn't it? Think about this. We sit here and go through Saajid's points. We sit there and go through all his arguments. We share his responses with all of our viewers. And we sit there and say, hey, let's hear what Saajid has to say. Meanwhile, Saajid has to go around, and I will not name anybody's name, and I have to keep all this a secret, and I have to hide in a corner, and please, please, please don't mention anyone's name. And it's like, Saajid, who's confident here? You're not sounding very confident. Not sounding that you actually think that your arguments could stand up to scrutiny. Oh, other thing. Which side is constantly saying, hey, well, why don't we get together? Why don't we all get together? Let's all get together for a big discussion. We'll just go right through the Quran. We'll go through all these verses. You explain what your theory is. We'll explain what our theory is. And then everyone will see that our theory actually lines up with what Allah says. And you're saying the exact opposite of what Allah says. That's why they don't want to actually interact or debate this. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, that was one of his top comments was, isn't it funny how they never invite a Muslim on when they do these live streams and put up these videos? And so we actually issued an invitation to him on every one of these live streams he's welcome to. We also did the same thing on God Logic's live stream when we were all on there. And yeah, surprise, surprise, he never showed up, even though that was his top comment in one of his first or second videos on the topic.
He's too busy buying perfume oil for his male best friend. That's his excuse. That's why he can't come.
That's why he can't debate.
Well, let's all just agree that he's still better than hijab blackmailing a sheikh.
That's true.
He is.
That's true. It's there's a bright side for all you Dawa guys who are failing miserably and all your arguments are crashing and burning like the Hindenburg. At least you're not going down like Muhammad Hijab right now. So look on the bright side, guys. Super Soda says, David was hoping you could shed some light on Candid with Lubna. She's been forced to move location and abandon her channel, and after receiving death threats from adherents of the religion of peace. Yeah, guys, I told AP, I sent a message earlier to AP about that. I said, I'm going live at 5, so people in the UK can tune in. But I said, hey, if you want to go live to discuss the Lambda thing that we can. I think we are. So I think we're going live on AP's channel later to go through her video and see what's been going on with her. Some super chats came in.
Wait, wasn't she? I thought she was. She's not a Muslim, or what? What happened?
She's
Isn't she like a secular Muslim?
Yeah, kind of like secular liberal Muslim or
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
Doesn't denounce it. I haven't seen her.
Yeah,
I only saw a couple clips of her when it would pop up, but for some reason her videos were popping up over the past like month.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw it on like the homepage. I saw she was hosting a debate about the preservation of the Quran, so it immediately caught my interest, and I tuned in, and she had like this debate. I'm not familiar with her, but that's really sad to hear what she's going through.
no, she never apostatized, from what I know. She did mention once or twice she doubted because of she actually said Mimi Hijab and Yasser Qadi's interview on the preservation. She said that made her doubt. That wasn't.
That's why she had that debate. She was having a debate about preservation. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, she put it in the title of her video.
Oh,
so
okay.
That wasn't.
Yeah. So.
She's going through some hard times, huh?
Yep, and yeah, if only people had warned everyone back in the day that what Islam's going to cause. Sadly, people were just completely in the dark, and no one told them what Islam's going to cause. And she's where? I think in the UK.
Yeah, she's British Pakistani.
Weird.
It's not very safe. In the UK.
Yeah, remember what they did to
Hey, one second. Someone said Fatih said. No, someone said Fatih sent a super chat before the live and he destroyed you. Check it out. No, Fatih can, if he's sending super chats, he can resend it while we're live.
Yeah.
All right, good. Go ahead, Jai.
No, I was just saying because remember what they did to Mufti Abu Layth as well, also a British Pakistani Muslim.
Yeah,
and we all know what happened, to him. So
yeah, guys, they stormed his house middle of the night. Him in there, his wife, kids, and a bunch of wannabe jihadis storm his house and so on. So, and then you keep in mind, we sit around running our mouths and stuff, but occasionally they do roll up on you, as we saw with Salwan Momika and so on. They just roll up and actually do something. So, yep. And she's kind of in a different category because she's a woman, and they have more options of what to do to a woman, both when they're threatening, and when they're actually attacking. So, yep, good for her to take precautions. And if there's a way we can help, then we'll figure it out. Angel says, can you stop all the work you're doing and make the obvious case as to why Star Wars is better than Star Trek? Oh, hi, David. No, I would never make the case that Star Wars is better than Star Trek, because Star Wars is for nerds. You see the proof? I said words, mubahala now. That is Islam in a nutshell. You see the proof? I said words, mubahala now. Blah, 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 blah for Allah. That pretty much sums up Saajid's channel.
Saajid like, therefore Islam.
Yeah, Saajid is the only person that can say so much, but yet say so little at the same time. Yeah, DOC was pointing out, it's like, this is a Quran. A Quran is a book. Do you know what a book is? It's something that has words. But I have words too, and I'm not a book. So how are we going to figure this out? Well, one is a book. It has words. But not everything that has words is a book. See? And it's like his entire video sounds like he's talking to a 4-year-old.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt.
And all his followers are like, he responded in your face.
Yeah, so powerful. You've been humiliated. Awesome. Let's see. Today I challenged myself for a mubahala and won. Whoa, that's powerful.
You also lost, though.
Yeah. If you won, then you lost. You're taking the Quran out of context when it says clear. When it says it's clear, it obviously means it's only clear to Allah. You see, that is. You do have to go in that route. That's a super sticker. Thank you, Ida. And Ida says, "Oh, good. I thought you were cheating on AP with Jai and DOC. No, we'll be live with AP. Everyone keeps thinking. Every time I go live with anyone else now, they're like, "What's going on? Are you beefing with AP?" That's weird stuff.
Guys, yeah, AP just became a Christian. He's learning about the Christian faith. Give
him a break.
He's trying to disciple. He's getting discipled. He's learning. He's immersing himself in,
It was
the
hilarious.
church.
I saw you. You were debunking that you guys broke up earlier in another live stream. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny that, just a couple days, and I had to tell people, guys, we got an Islamic Dilemma project. We're trying to respond to everything that comes out on the Islamic Dilemma. AP's not part of that. He's not involved, and so he's not going to be in all the live streams. But they're like, no, where is all the division? Why? Even an AP couldn't get along. Oh.
Not allowed to speak to anybody else, just
Yeah.
AP.
Yeah, I know. Yep. All right, you guys ready to check out this video?
Yes.
All right, Saajid, here's your big chance, buddy. Don't give up, Saajid. And Saajid, we know you're watching, but don't give up. If you give up, just think how that's going to look to all your followers. You've gone through one verse in 5 videos. At this rate, if you want to go through like the dozens of videos that we've made, if you want to go through the dozens of verses, Quran verses that we use, and it's taking you 6 videos to cover one verse, then you're going to obviously have to do hundreds of videos to respond to the verses we use. But if you give up at some point, just think what that's going to look like to your followers, man. It'll look like you're backing down from the Islamic Dilemma. And you're sort of the last real dawah guy standing on this issue.
That's right.
You're the only thing, Saajid. You're the only thing holding back the avalanche of apostasy from being as terrible as it could be. The avalanche is already coming. You're the one bravely standing in front of it, trying to catch all the snow.
Oh, by the way, did you
don't
see
give
the
up.
new stat? It went from 24 to 26%.
Did it really? Share that
Yeah,
with
there was
me.
a new stat. There was a new stat on. It was American Muslims. It went from 24 to 26%. So we're gonna need to update our intro song and make it
26%. 26%.
Your
And I've
child gonna
seen.
be-
Oh, go ahead.
No, she was just singing the
I was
song.
just singing your child gonna be an
Yeah.
apostle.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, and I've seen stats between 70 and 80% recently. I've seen 70, I've seen 75, and I've seen 80. I don't know if that's specific to region or if they're from different times. About Muslim. Matter of fact, Abdullah Samir just had a video about this, and he was talking about the number 80% and some clips of a scholar, a sociologist, I think, talking about Muslims kind of only wanting the high quality, it's hard to say Andrew Tate, but they want the high profile converts now and not like needy people and so on. But yeah, he was saying 80% of people who convert to Islam actually end up leaving Islam. And I remember that from way back in the day, like 20 years ago. And I got this in a Muslim booklet. It was a Muslim booklet, and they were trying to figure out why so many people who become Muslims leave Islam. And back then it was over half. They said over half.
Wow.
Recent years I've seen 70%, 75%, and 80%. And they're trying to figure out what to do. But I mean, just think about that. If you're talking 70, 75, 80% of people who convert to Islam leave the religion within a couple of years, then as you're doing dawah, you're actually making more ex-Muslims than you're making Muslims.
Yeah.
Right? So guys, think if they do this big dawah campaign and they get 10,000 converts to Islam, they get 10,000 converts to Islam, 10,000 people convert to Islam. Well, studies show that 7,000 to 8,000 of those 10,000 are going to leave Islam. So what they actually created was 7,000 to 8,000 ex-Muslims right there.
Wow.
They converted to Islam and then left it. So that's Saajid, that's another losing campaign there. You lose in the long run. You're creating more ex-Muslims. And what are these ex-Muslims? They're people that you duped into Islam. Oh, we've got the perfect preservation. We've got the scientific miracles. And then they enter the religion. They're like, what? And then they find out that you tricked them. You duped them. And some will stay in it because you get them married and so on while they're in there. And you have a bunch of kids. And then they're embedded in the community. It's hard for them to leave, especially when you're threatening to kill them and so on. But a bunch of people now just, you got me. I'm out of this religion. That's hurting you, dude. If you end up with millions and millions and millions of ex-Muslims from dawah, you trick them and then they find out the truth about your religion and then they think it's a joke and then they want to make fun of it. You're hurting yourself in the long run, but you got no plan B. So just keep doing it, buddy. And you could do it, Saajid. You can answer the Islamic dilemma. No one else can, but you can, buddy. Keep up the good
That's
work.
right.
Keep up the
Yeah,
good
we,
work.
we've been keeping up with a couple of these converts to Islam that end up leaving Islam, and many of them share the same exact story. They converted usually because of either a man or a woman, and then what they found was after the relationship, let's say it didn't work out or whatever, that they tried to remain Muslim for some period of time, but they just found no fulfillment in it, no spirituality. They just felt emptiness, and we've heard that story again and again and again from people who have converted to Islam and then left it. And there are a couple of them that are like testimonials, like they're on TikTok and stuff, that people just sharing, yeah, this is my story, this is what I did, and I didn't find any fulfillment in it. I didn't find any, it's just emptiness. And that's a problem. That's a problem for a lot of them because, well, you're not going to find any spirituality in Islam, and it is going to be emptiness. So that's why they try to keep you busy with rituals, like from the minute you wake up to when you go to bed. They try to keep you busy.
So you don't have time to think.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's what they
That's
do.
what they do.
So
Wow.
So they're using dawah money to create ex-Muslims?
Yeah, isn't that funny? Hey, all you Muslims who are fans of the dawah, think about what DOC just said. When you fund the dawah, when Ali Dawah says, "Yo, buzz my Viagra so I can do the dawah," right? And you're like, "Oh yes, we'll send him money so we can do powerful dawah." You're making ex-Muslims. You're making mostly ex-Muslims with that. You're getting people to convert for stupid reasons. And if they're listening to Ali Dawah, trust me, they're listening to stupid reasons. And maybe you find some people who are stupid enough to stay even after those stupid reasons have been exposed. But most people are going to leave, statistically. Most of the converts are going to leave. And so do the math. You have a losing formula, but you have no plan B. So fun times.
Right.
All right, these last couple super chats, and we'll jump into the video. Last night, I got home from Turkey, visited the 7 churches from Revelations. I really recommend visiting them. I was amazed. Hey, Jai and Doc, where you at?
Hey,
We're right here.
We're right here with
right
you.
There. Right there. I think AP would like to visit those churches, but he's going to be arrested.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Dawah guy who did a video years back on the Islamic dilemma? It was in Arabic, and D Wood did a live stream on it only based on the subtitles. The video was in Arabic in English subtitles. I do not remember that at all.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. It's not really that big in Arabic. We're hoping that it gets more popular, but yeah, it's going to be great once we get all this material out there from our project, and then we can start popularizing it in other languages, Arabic being one of the target languages. But yeah, it's not really like a, mostly they focus in the Arab world, like on the
the moral stuff.
Yeah, the scandals of Muhammad. Sorry, I was like forgetting the word. Scandals of Muhammad and stuff like that. Yeah.
And here we have Fatih here. You blame people for lying. Let's see. When I brought up 3-4 and said a guidance before, you said it's Mabaina Yadehi. Well, it is. No.
Oh, dude.
No.
Oh, man.
Learn to pay attention. Learn to pay attention here. 3 through 4. You got to pay attention if you're trying to refute people. Otherwise, this embarrassing stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep. 3-3 says Baina Dayhi.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
it's 3. It's 3-3. We're talking about the before there. So let me pick one here. He has revealed to you the book. This is 3-3. He has revealed to you the book with truth, verifying that which is before it. We're pointing out there, before it, right? Verifying that which is before it. I pointed out that before there, before in English can mean before temporally, chronologically, like this happened before, years ago. But that it can also mean, in English, before, as in I stand here before you. And so when it says Mabaina Yadehi, and I'm not citing myself on this. This is Muhammad Asad. Muhammad Asad. Read his commentary on the Quran. He points out Mabaina Yadehi, so literally means between his hands or between its hands. If it's talking about something being between the Quran's hands, then you would normally go treat it as an idiom or something like that. Although, since the Quran appears as a pale man, you can't rule that out. It's got hands and so on. But as an idiom, and again, this is Muhammad Assad, as an idiom, it means something in its presence, And so this wouldn't mean before temporally. It wouldn't mean this is something in the past. This would mean it is before it, that the Torah and the gospel are before it. They're in its presence. They still exist. That's not me. Take it up with him. But don't misrepresent us. You guys have any additional thoughts on this?
Yeah, basically, I mean,
Basically what you said.
yeah, basically what you said. I mean, this guy, I'm starting to, gather that he's not a troll, but he's just, he's
Very
probably
confused.
one of Saajid's fans, if you get what I'm saying. He's probably one of his, like,
Let's go to step 1. Quran is your book.
Yeah. The
Surah
Quran is your book. Do you agree? Okay. The Quran says that Allah revealed other books. You got that? What does it say about those books? Read it. You don't seem to be, all you Dawa guys don't seem to be very good at paying attention to what your own God says. Isn't it weird? Allah misguides whom he wills. 354. Allah is the best of deceivers. Islamic dilemma is finished. A trap to ideologically molest the kafirs. Yeah, he's got it. See? Allah misguides whom he wills, and Allah is the best of deceivers. He got us. Hey, what's this? This is from Hijab's Mutawife.
Oh,
Can you guys read this? It's kind of...
yes.
She's saying,
But if we tell you, then we're breaking the message.
she's asking us not to translate it, just to laugh. Sorry.
Hey, you translated it.
I know.
Actually, this is a good way to refute the Islamic dilemma. If Allah is the greatest of deceivers, we have no reason to believe preservation. Yep. At the end of the day, you got to go with something like that because there's just no other way around this. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this powerful, powerful, powerful video response from Saajid Lipham, who's sadly regressed. He acted like he was going to start actually responding to our arguments and instead went back to kindergarten for his followers. I don't blame him, given the intellectual ability of his followers, but there are those of us who are watching who are not impressed. In fact, I think you just really messed up here, Saajid. Bad days ahead. Bad days ahead. Let's see why.
Inshallah, in today's video, we are going to show how the foundational argument that the Quran affirms the Bible is 100% false. And if you watch this video to the end, inshallah, you'll have a better understanding regarding just how absurd this claim actually is. And consider...
I've been through this video, and he just made a promise about his video. If you watch to the end, you're going to have a much better idea what... No. Watching your video to the end, I see more evidence of how desperate you guys are and how you have no response to this and how you have to just toss up smoke screens the entire time, Saajid. That's what I get by watching to the end of this video. Oh, boy. All right.
How this is the foundational straw man of those claiming there is an Islamic dilemma, then you'll see from the very outset how flimsy and ridiculous this argument actually is. So there's basically 3 steps that we're going to take in this video to clarify and emphasize what a book of Allah actually is.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. No, we don't know what a book of Allah is.
Oh.
I'm going to spend this entire video telling you what a book of Allah is. It's a book of Allah.
That's it.
This is, watch, but he'll eventually be, okay, so this is a book, right? This is a book, and this is a book of Allah. But this is not a book of Allah. See? Book, book of Allah, not book of Allah. Everyone with me so far? We know this is really hard for you guys.
That's actually what he does. Like, he actually does that in the video.
I know.
Allah tells us what his books are. He said Torah and the Gospel because he revealed them.
Yes.
So we already know.
And so did Muhammad.
Yeah.
Allah tells us one thing. Muhammad agrees and tells us the same exact thing. Then Saajid comes along and says, note the exact opposite. And we're supposed to take him seriously. What have I been saying, guys? What have I been saying? This is the religion of submission to Dawa clowns.
Exactly. I mean, Saajid, he was making a big point about the fact that we're called the people of the book. We're called the people of the book.
What book?
Okay.
Oh, so he thinks it's another book.
So what book is this? Is this one of not book of Allah? The people of the not book of Allah, or
Yeah.
what book is this?
Got to be a different book, right?
It's the people of a book.
A book.
That's what.
People of a book.
Yeah.
All right.
Revelation from Allah actually is, and we will compare that to what the Bible is. And inshallah, that will make things crystal clear. Now here on the screen we see an ayah.
No, dude. If you're trying to avoid the Islamic dilemma, under no circumstance are you going to make anything crystal clear. That's why you got to spend 6 videos responding to one verse. Oh, boy.
From the Quran. Allah says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Verily it is we who have sent down the dhikr, the reminder, the Quran, and surely we will guard it from corruption. Now, as we can see in this ayah, the Quran is the speech of Allah. It is His speech that was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and then conveyed to the rest of the world. So, for example, this is a mushaf.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was yellow pages.
This is a page of a book. This is a book. This is a page of a book. See? Look. Book has lots of pages, but this is one page of a book. What is this?
You know what's funny is one of the funny things to point out about this is that if in the Quran, I don't have the verse up, but it's in chapter 39 verse 6, and the same exact verb is used when Allah says that He sent down to the people, to the earth, like cattle. Cattle. So this same word that Allah, when He says we sent down this reminder, we sent down the reminder, it also says we sent down cattle. And
that's Anzalna, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that word is used so many different times to describe things that Muslims wouldn't consider to be like divine revelation. Like I don't think Muslims consider cattle to be divine revelation. So just because Allah sends something down, I mean, just going with what it says doesn't necessarily mean that it's divine revelation or His words, right? Unless they're saying those are His cattle or His, whatever, His cattle. I don't know. Maybe they would say that. I don't know. Unless divine cattle.
Yeah, and interesting that he goes to 15:9, given what the rest of 15 says. But let's see what he wants to do with this.
This is a book with the words of the Quran written in it. Here we can see the same ayah that we just quoted. And we see all of these words here. This is the speech of Allah. This is the Quran. In the original language it was revealed in. Countless people from the time this was revealed up until today memorized this entire book, front to back, back to front. As we can see, certain letters in this mushaf are color-coded because there's a certain way to recite the Quran properly. It has...
Look. This book has pages, and some of them are color-coded. See? Isn't it fun? It's like did he grow up yeah, he's a convert. He probably grew up watching Mr. Rogers and thinks this is how you respond to people.
Did the time of Muhammad and Sahaba, did they have color-coded mushafs? Just asking.
You know what?
All the stuff came later, dude. The stuff that you think is munazzal, from Allah. The letters and the colors were not in your mushaf back then. They didn't have colors.
That's right.
They didn't even have diacritical marks.
Muhammad didn't even have the Quran.
He didn't have the Quran, but
in a book.
But even when they did have it, years later, there was no diacritical marks. The thing that changes a letter to another letter to perhaps even another word if you change the markings. And then the markings on top of that, he's talking about the tajweed markings. Those came way later. Listen to Yasir Qadi. He tells us that tajweed rulings and these extra markings came way later.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what else? He talks about how it was, memorized from back to front, front to back. What's funny about that is Brother Rashid did a show some years ago on one of his Arabic programs, and what he was showing was all like the illiteracy in the Muslim world, and I think it was Afghanistan, if I remember correctly, where they would open the Quran backwards, like literally backwards, and they would read from it the opposite way.
From
So
the left way to the right.
like they would do the opposite direction, and so Sajid's right. It has been memorized from back to front as well, in a very literal sense.
Thank you,
Because they have no
Saajid.
idea what they're reading. They just see like these letters on the page. They just
And we don't actually have a definitive evidence of which surah came first, the chronology of the surahs. So we actually don't know if we're reading it back to front. If surah 1 came first, surah 2 came second. No, that's not how it works.
We've got Fatih here again. 1 second. Aaron says, I know you've already spoke about Libna. For your information, she's taken a lot of videos down or made... only also people showed up at her house. Oh, people showed up at her house last night. Yeah, we're going to be going through our video. We're going to be going through our video. Yeah, that's a different story if someone actually showed up to her house. Okay, now we get to Fatih again. Dude, I brought up 3-4, 3-4, 3-4. Yeah,
Do you know what 3-4 says?
Yeah, dude. 3. Verse 3 is connected to 3-4. In fact, it carries on. It carries on. Verse 4 makes no sense because it contains part of it. It contains it's not fit. 3-3 is not finished, right? You have to get to 3-4. We're pointing out you can't give an interpretation of 3-4 that contradicts 3-3. 3-3, if he's saying mabaina yadehi, and it means in his presence or in its presence, something that's still there, you got a problem if you're saying, oh, this just means your book's been corrupted. You sound like a dope, right? And then you've got, by the way, be brave and show what Muhammad Assad, your hero, reference for Mabaina Yadehi said on 3-3-4. No problem. I got it right here, bud. So this is Muhammad Assad's commentary on Surah 3, verse 3. He says, most of the commentators are of the opinion that Mabaina Yadehi, literally that which is between its hands, denotes here the revelations which came before it, i.e., before the Quran. This interpretation is not, however, entirely convincing. Although there is not the least doubt that in this context, the pronominal ma refers to earlier revelations, and particularly the Bible. That's weird. He says it's the Bible. Saajid says it's not. As is evident from the parallel use of the above expression in other Quranic passages, meaning uses mabaina yadehi over and over and over again, referring to the previous scriptures. The idiomatic phrase mabaina yadehi does not in itself mean that which came before it, i.e. in time, but rather that which lies open before it. That which lies open before it, meaning it's still there. He's saying if you're taking it as an idiom, that's what it means. It means it's something there. Since, however, the pronoun it relates here to the Quran, the metaphorical expression between its hands or before it cannot possibly refer to knowledge, but must obviously refer to an objective reality with which the Quran is confronted, that is, something that was coexistent in time with the revelation of the Quran. It has to mean something that is coexistent in time with the Quran. That's exactly what I said. Why in the name of common sense are you asking me to read the stuff that completely refutes you and proves that I was right? But keep supporting the channel, Fatih.
I think he mixes the two sentences. The first sentence, like he says the book was in truth confirming what is between its hands, meaning the what's there already. Full stop. Okay, and he revealed the Torah and the Gospel before. That means that he didn't reveal the Torah and the Gospel at the time of Muhammad. He revealed it before, but it remains between his hands now. Are we clear now? Can you stop going on about this?
No, I don't think he understands anything we say, and then he complains. So he's like lots of the other Dawa fans out there and so on. So, yeah, better luck next time, Fatih. Thank you once again for proving us right. Let's see. What is the best type of paper to eat? Help, please.
Don't eat paper.
What Saajid is reading.
Yeah, that page, the page of a book that Saajid has. See, this is a page of a book, and this one has colors on it, but it's not a coloring book. Unless David gets a hold of it. Your brother in Christ says cows are aliens. Yes, we know that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? That'd be a fun video to make. Is all the things that Allah sent down, like cows.
Dude,
he mentioned
I've been there, man. And people even had the graphic of the cow flying from outer space and stuff. That was like 5 years ago. That was like 5 years ago when we were on that one.
Yeah.
One of the many reasons Ali Dawah had to admit that the scientific miracles argument was debunked.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is just like a funny thing the Muslims are always saying, like the Quran is sent down, so therefore, well, you can use that logic with all these other things.
Yeah, he sends down the cattle, he sends down rain,
food.
He sends down food, he sends down khair, goodness, provision.
Yeah.
Unless
you want to say all that means revelation, then you're stuck.
Yeah. So the cows are coming in from the sky. Yeah, they're aliens. Yeah, it's true. According to Islam.
Space cow. Cattle from heaven. Holy cow. That's true. And Saajid should host a Blues Clues show for Muslims.
He would be. So that's an American TV show for it was on Nickelodeon. I don't know if it's still around, but it was on Nickelodeon, and it's like a kids show, and the guy like explains things like it's to kids. So he's like explaining things like he would to kids.
Now like toddlers.
Like young show. Yeah. And that Saajid he'd actually be good for that show.
He would, Saajid.
When he explains things.
He needs to smile, though.
That's true.
Oh, wait a minute. I think he wrote a kid's book. I forget. I think it was him, but it was one of the Dawah guys made a children's book. I think it was Saajid. That's funny. So
wait, Saajid wrote a children's book?
I think he did. Look up Saajid Lipham on Amazon. I bet it pops up.
Hilarious. Was that about the Quran?
Hang on. Now I got to know. Hang on.
Yeah, I'm looking it up too.
Let's see.
It's called.
Oh, he did.
Oh,
yeah, he
man.
did.
Oh,
I thought that was him.
Dude,
Saajid
what?
Lipham. What is it?
Prophet.
Let's see.
Nuh.
So he's got Prophet.
Oh, he did. Prophet Nuh. Anything else? He got his picture. You got Serge's picture on Amazon.
Wow, look at that. Yes.
Oh, images are forbidden.
Wow.
$10 to read about Prophet Nuh.
Recommended for any ages 5 and up.
Five and up.
Followers.
5 and up, or as Daniel Hakikachu would say, of marriageable age.
Oh, they list his credentials here. So he's got a BA in visual communication design. He's got 2010 he went to University of Medina, associate's degree in Arabic language, a bachelor's degree in Dawah and theology.
Wow.
And then in 2019 he returned to the US to serve as an imam. As well as an Islamic school, Quranic Arabic, and Islamic studies teacher in Florida.
He's a bachelor in that.
Yeah, guys, I said I wasn't sure when he converted, but look at the date, 2008. That's when the Dawah nonsense was in full force. Everything back in 2008 was perfect preservation of the Quran, scientific miracles. He bought into all that nonsense, didn't bother looking up any of it, converted, and now he's finding out everything. He's what we were talking about earlier was 70 to 80% of people eventually leave it. It's just, hey, this has nothing for me, or all this nonsense about perfect preservation and so on is all fake. But for whatever reason, 70 to 80% of converts leave their religion. What happens? What happens if you're like Ali Dawah? Remember, Ali Dawah said that he converted based on the scientific miracles argument, but then he said that the argument has been debunked, but he's going to stay a Muslim anyway, even though his reasons for converting were completely bogus.
Wow.
What do you do? What do you do when you converted because of the perfect preservation and the scientific miracles and blah, 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 and then all that stuff gets exposed? Well, you can leave the religion, or you can stay for other reasons, or you can do what Saajid's doing and just stick to the Dawah script that you were given, no matter how obviously false it is. And that's what he's doing. And that's what he's doing in this video. He's sticking to the Dawah script that he was taught, because he can't admit that he basically got duped, and it's been going on for 17 years. 17 years this guy has been deceived. Now it's all being exposed, and he can't deal with it.
That's crazy.
Sad.
Could you imagine like applying for a job and your CV has bachelor's in Dawah, and you're like, well, what the heck is that? What is the bachelor's in Dawah? And like Muhammad Hijab's like the professor or something.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah, you look. Yeah, just imagine you're like, so you get the application. You're like, what's dawa? And you look it up. Oh, it's what this Muhammad hijab guy does. Can I suck on your wife's tit? Golden showers, golden showers. Like, no, I don't want this guy here. I don't want none of this. I don't know what this dawa is, but oh, and all these dawa guys are all polygamous and banging all these ladies behind the scenes and hotel marriage. Nah, I don't want any of this stuff. Nah, sorry. And then Saajid will be like, I'm being persecuted for being a Muslim. They're all racist against me, even though I'm the whitest white person you've ever seen in your entire lives. Well, guys, what's a comeback to a Muslim saying Abdullah Salam was a Jew who turned Muslim, who knew the Torah and was respected?
I was a Muslimah who became Christian, who knew the Quran, and I was respected. So what?
Good
Yeah,
point.
one of Muhammad's big things about the Jews was he said this, and this is a hadith that says this. He said, if I could only get 10 Jews to believe in me, and I say this one a lot because it's so funny. He said, if I could only get 10 Jews to believe in me, then all the Jews would believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is true, that Abdullah bin Salam or some Jewish people did become Muslims, what does it actually prove? What does it actually mean?
Yeah, there is the issue. There is the issue of whether we even take some of these stories seriously. Because keep in mind, guys, these same collections of stories say that all the emperors of the time, they're all in a panic about Muhammad, and they're all finding him in our scriptures, and they're all going, oh, we know this guy's the true prophet who's here. What are we going to do? Oh, let's stubbornly resist him, even though it's the truth. That's what's going on in these same exact sources. So we know these guys are making stuff up left and right. But suppose we just grant the story. Two very important things. One is what Jai and DOC just pointed out. This insane hypocrisy here. But look, if this guy converted, that must mean that it's the truth. Okay, so look at all the people who are leaving Islam. What does that mean? It means nothing. Okay, but I thought someone converting to something else means that whatever they're converting to is true, and this is the proof. Yes, if they're converting to Islam. Okay, what about all these people who leave Islam? It means nothing. Okay, then you're not making any sense. You're just you're changing your methodology as you go. So that's one point. The other point is, you can't just say a guy converted. You have to look at his reasons for converting.
Yes.
Abdullah Salam is one of the guys who came up to Muhammad and said, "Hey, if you're really a prophet, you'll be able to answer these 3 questions." And he gave him these 3 questions. He said, 1, what is the first meal of he said, what will be the sign of the end, that the end is coming? And then he said, what will be the first meal in paradise? And 3, how come a child sometimes resembles its mother's, the mother's side of the family, and how come sometimes the child resembles the father's side of the family? What's going on there? And so Muhammad answered. He answered, what will be the sign of the end? Guess what? You don't have any confirmation of that. How do you know? How do you know what the sign is going to be? In other words, he could have said anything. He could have said, the sign of the end will be a giant bird appears, and you could say anything, right? That has not been confirmed. We have not been there. So that can't be confirmed. 2, the first meal of paradise. I think he said it'll be like fish liver of some fish or something like that. And that's going to be the first meal. Okay. How can we confirm that? How do we confirm or disconfirm that? We don't. So we have no confirmation on either of these points so far. The third thing, guess what? Muhammad was completely wrong on. So he said, so the question is, how come sometimes a child resembles a mother, and how come sometimes a child resembles the father's side of the family? And Muhammad's response was, in effect, man and woman have sex, and whichever one puts out their semen, the husband or the wife, first, that's whoever has an orgasm first, that's who the child's going to resemble. Jai, you know your biology. DOC knows more on the biology side, but DOC, you know biology pretty well. Is that an accurate description of how human reproduction works?
There are babies who are made in test tubes by IVF. The egg is fertilized. Nobody has the O word during that process. Okay, so whoever the baby resembles has to do with genes, whichever genes are dominant or recessive, which means whichever genes are more
powerful.
Like, for example, that we know that brown eyes is a dominant gene and the blue eyes are recessive. So whichever husband or wife has the brown, the child will have that the brown eyes. Doesn't matter who comes first. Okay. Sorry for the length.
So, what actually accounts for things like appearance? You have DNA from the mother, DNA from the father, and then there's a degree of randomness, but also then there's the issue of some genes are dominant over other genes, like things like eye color and so on. And so it's not just which person had the first O, as Muhammad thought. In other words, so John here, it's not just, oh, someone converted. Guess what? People convert to things all the time. Some people have good reasons. Some people have bad reasons. You can't just say someone converted. You have to say.
We were just talking about that. Sorry,
Okay.
yeah. No, I was just saying we were just talking about that with like Saajid and Ali Dawa. Why do they convert to Islam, right? We were just talking about that.
Bad reasons. Bad reasons.
Exactly.
Bad, dumb reasons. And guess what? At least in Ali Dawa's case, he acknowledges that it was bad, dumb reasons. Saajid just gets mad whenever you point out that it was bad, dumb reasons. And even if it's Muslims who are like, he's the one who flipped out over the holes in the narrative interview. He's like, that's why I became a Muslim and you guys are destroying it. And it's like, all I saw was, if you guys are right, then I was an idiot for converting based on this nonsense. Yeah. Yeah, that's the takeaway.
Some people in the chat saying that sometimes the blue eyes win. You need 2 copies of blue
you need
eyes.
blue and blue.
Blue
Yeah,
and
guys.
blue.
Yeah, let me break it down, everyone. My dad had brown eyes. My mom had blue eyes. I have brown eyes because the brown is dominant. But I also, since my mom had blue eyes, that means she had the blue eyes genes. And so I have the genes for blue eyes. My wife has brown eyes because her mom had brown eyes. Her dad has blue eyes. So we both carry the gene for blue eyes, but we both have brown eyes. Guess what? Since we both carry the gene, but it's recessive, on average, if we had a bunch of kids, about a quarter of our kids would have blue eyes because a quarter of the kids would have brown. Half of the kids would have a combination blue and brown gene, but the brown would be dominant. And then 1/4 of the kids would have the blue. And guess what? We had 5 kids. One of them had blue eyes.
There you go.
So genetics is real. And Muhammad didn't understand it. And neither did Abdullah bin Salam. And he converted based on what? Think about, guys, what did he actually convert based on? Muhammad sounding confident in what he was saying. He sounds like he knows what he's saying. He sounds like he knows what he's saying. And so let me convert based on this. And it was completely wrong. What do people like Saajid convert based on? The Dawa guy sounds confident. Therefore, I don't even need to check out what he's saying. Now, there's if you wanted to defend Abdullah bin Salam, you'd have to say, no, actually, he was able to confirm some of this because the Jews had their traditions and Muhammad was right according to the Jewish traditions. Little side note, Muhammad had to go away and come back with the answers because he's being fed the answers. But that's the point. Abdullah could say, oh, yes, Muhammad said exactly what my group believes about genetics and reproduction and so on. Muhammad said what my group believes because he actually went and asked someone, hey, what do the Jews believe on this? Hey, I know a Jew. Let me go ask him. It was wrong. That's the point. The answer that he gave about why a child sometimes resembles the father and sometimes resembles the mother is completely wrong and stupid and insane. And so if Abdullah said, wow, you must be a prophet based on this, terrible reason.
Yep.
Yep. All right, back to Saajid here.
Rules of Tajweed. This is the preserved book of Allah that we have with us today. Therefore, this is the only example we truly have of a book of Allah, a scripture that he revealed to a prophet. Now, this here is a different book, and as we can see...
What?
This is the only example we have of a book that Allah revealed to a prophet?
How did he
come to that conclusion? When the Quran, this same Quran...
Because our Bible doesn't have colors.
Oh, we need to color code
But it has red letters though of Jesus. Does that help?
I guess we need like the Tajweed letter, letter color coding, so you know which one to. I don't know, but he's appealing to a book that tells you Allah has more than one book, over and over and over and over again, and he's saying, well, this is the only book that we have that's been revealed to a prophet.
What?
But that book tells you there are more of the books
that are being revealed to other prophets.
Oh man.
Everyone who's watching, do you have any clue how stupid what he just said was, right? He said, guys, this is the Quran. This is a page of the Quran. Look, this has color coding in it. So this is our only example of a book of Allah. Wait, what? What was the connection? What was the connection to anything he said? It's just like when he said, look, this chapter starts off with 3 letters. So this is a divine book and we have to recognize that it's what are you saying? There's no connection between your conclusion and what the information you're giving. Do you understand okay, Saajid, let me break it down for you, how easy this is. Okay, this is the Quran. So, therefore, since this is the Quran, this is our only example of a book that is straight from the pits of hell. Notice, Saajid, nothing I said leading up to this being a book straight from the pits of hell showed that it was a book straight from the pits of hell. I just said some things, and then I said something. That's it. There was no connection. One thing did not follow from what I said before. That's what you're doing. You're going, look, here's a book, and here's a page from a book. Oh, look, there's some color coding. See the red right there? It's got red right there. So this is the only example we have of a book from Allah. It's the only one. It's the only one we have, and everything it stands or falls based on comparison to that. See? This is dawah, dude? Like being as stupid and insane as possible? I don't even know what to do at this point.
Crazy. Yeah, it's actually crazy. Like that's a.
How is he an imam? I mean, I remember imams from back in the day. They were better than this.
Wait, yeah, I mean,
what's this?
Yeah, but that would be a good clip if someone has a channel where they explain like logical fallacies and you want to say like what's a non sequitur. Just go. Actually, you know what you guys can do? People who make those channels. Go to these dawah channels and you'll get like. You get footage for days and months and years on this logical fallacy, then play a clip from a dawah guy. This logical fallacy, play a clip from a dawah guy. This is a red herring. This is a straw man. This is ad hoc. All these things that they do, just continuously over and over and over and over again, and their followers eat it up.
Does he think he's talking to this children's book?
I think so.
Yeah, this is maybe we didn't know. Maybe this is a video for kids. Maybe this entire video series is for kids on how they can respond to the Islamic dilemma. Got to be something like that, Saajid.
It has the same page that we were just looking at, which contains the words of the Quran. However, on the margins here, this is called tafsir. This contains more information explaining these ayat from the Quran.
Wait, so tafsir isn't the Quran? They're different?
This is like, what are you doing?
Do you see the text in the box? It's different from the text outside the box, around it.
Wow.
Now look, see, this is all in yellow around here, but on the side there, it's white. See, that's the Quran, see? So 1 is the Quran, and 2 is the tafsir. All right, are you all ready for your quiz?
What are we doing? What are you doing, Saajid?
I don't even know. It's almost embarrassing to even respond to this nonsense. It's like, oh, look at that picture of him, though. I should use that for this thumbnail.
That's a great thumbnail. Yeah,
that's him shouting, Allah's a liar. And by the way, guys, by the end of this video, no, we're not concluding that the Islamic dilemma is not a problem. We're concluding that Allah is a liar by the end of this video. Not according to me, according to Saajid. We're the ones defending Allah for some strange reason. Saajid is the one calling Allah a liar, a bad liar.
Yeah, he already did when he said that this is the only book that we have that Allah revealed to a prophet. That's what he said. When you go to the Muslim sources, they say there's actually 104 books that Allah revealed. 104 books.
Mm-hmm.
But he's gonna make it extremely clear that he's calling Allah a flat-out liar or ignorant. But I'm assuming he's gonna say that Allah either has to be ignorant or a liar. Ignorant or a liar. I'm assuming that he wants to believe that Allah is all-knowing, so he's not gonna say ignorant. And that, okay, well, the Quran talks about Allah deceiving people, and therefore he'll go with deception. Technically, though, he could go with ignorant or deceptive. I'm assuming he will go with deceptive. You can correct me on that, though, Saajid. You can message me and say, no, I go with ignorant, not deceptive. Allah's really dumb. You can say that. You could say that, but let me know. I'm going to assume that you would go with deceptive liar. All right, but we'll see.
Someone in the chat said, new PBS kids show called Dawa Street. Oh,
Sunny days taking those child brides away. Oh boy.
Tafsir is not itself the Quran.
Wait a
the
minute.
tafsir is not from the Book of Allah.
It's
the
not.
Book of Allah is the Quran. It is the speech of Allah. And
Here I thought all these books of tafsir that I had, they were all the Quran, but Saajid is correcting me. No. Guys, keep in mind, he's pretending to respond to the Islamic dilemma, and it's just like he's saying random things. Saajid, you might as well make a video and say, okay, here's my new response to the Islamic dilemma. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. This is how we spell the word of the day, which is blue. B-L-U-E, blue. And so now I'm going to have my Quran version of Blue's Clues. Oh, I said blue. Ha, 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 ha. That's what you should be doing, man. You might as well do that. There's no connection. Nothing that you're saying has any connection to answering the Islamic dilemma.
But I thought we were past this point because last time he went to a tafsir, or maybe the time before last, he opened up Ibn Kathir. So I thought he assumed now we know what tafsir is. Why is he going backwards and telling us what tafsir is?
yeah. This should have been in like his first lesson. And by the way, Saajid, you know, there's something called study Bibles. And guess what? In a study Bible, you have the Word of God. And below the Word of God, you have commentaries and footnotes.
Hold
and
up.
guess what?
So the
Commentaries
notes-
not...
Wait, the notes aren't the Bible? I thought they
No.
were.
The notes are not the
Maybe
Bible.
that's why he left Christianity and start thinking, all of this is the Bible?
Look,
Anyone just saying
this study Bible has notes in it. But how can these notes be the Bible? I'll leave. I'll leave and convert to this religion.
And where are the colors? Where are the colors?
Yeah, I see no colors here. Sorry, buddy. We would have got you a red letter edition if you're just dazzled by colors. And where are the 3 letters? They don't even have the 3 letters here. The magic 3 letters that any book that contains them must be from God.
Well,
That's,
you
that's
know,
true. We
you-
don't have 3 letters.
No, but you know what? On the what's it called? The part of the book where it's got you have like the covers and the you know where it has like the ESV on it. I can't.
Mhm.
Man, what's
Oh, ESV, that's 3 letters.
Yeah,
you have,
that's
like,
3 letters right there. Hey,
Yeah, like-
Saajid, grab an ESV. It's got 3 letters on it, so you know it's the word of God, buddy.
What's it called? You know, like yeah. But yeah, they have it printed like just ESV or something like that. And so there you go. There's 3 letters for you.
Powerful. Must be from God, Saajid.
nothing else can be considered such. Now, this might seem clear and obvious. However,
Yeah.
it's important to emphasize these distinctions because the entirety of the Islamic dilemma foundationally depends on falsely conflating a book of Allah with something else. So what?
Just before we continue, where did we get the idea? Because according to Saajid, we have this stupid, insane, ridiculous idea that something other than the Quran is the book of Allah. And he's saying our entire argument hinges on us thinking that there's some other book of Allah other than the Quran, and that we're stupid for... Just to be clear, where did we get the idea that according to Islam, there's more than one book of Allah? Where do we get that? Because he says we're wrong about it. He says we're wrong, we're mistaken. It's this stupid, mistaken idea that leads to us thinking that there's an Islamic dilemma because we think that there's more than just the Quran. Where did we get that idea?
From the Quran.
From the
Oh.
Quran.
Oopsie.
Where else would we have got? We didn't get from the tafsir.
It's not from the tafsir. No.
We
it's
didn't
not
get it from the
side.
tafsir.
No.
We didn't get it from the Sirah. We didn't get it from the Hadith. You can get it from these. You can get the idea from these sources, but that's not what that's not our main source on this, Saajid. The book that you're saying is the only example of a book of Allah, tells us about the other books of Allah, and says, most importantly, says that we have them. It says that we have them. You say we don't have them. So your book, which you say is the only example of a book of Allah, says that we have a book of Allah. And you're saying we don't. And so you're saying that the book of Allah is wrong, that the only example we have of a book of Allah is just wrong and idiotic. That's what you're saying. And you want us to believe in this book of Allah.
The Quran does affirm is that Musa alayhi salam was also given a book from Allah, the Torah.
Oh.
What the Quran does affirm is that Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, peace be upon him, was given a book from Allah.
Wait, so there were other books of Allah. You just said it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now question. So Moses received a book of Allah. He's saying the Quran is our only example of a book of Allah, but he's acknowledging that according to Islam, Moses had a book of Allah and Jesus had a book of Allah. He just said it, right?
Yep.
Okay, he just said it. Now, here, follow-up question. According to the Quran, were those books lost, or do Jews and Christians still have those books?
They still have them.
That's
They're
the
with
point,
them.
Saajid. We still have them according to the Quran. I don't even know what to do.
Yep.
مصدق لما معهم.
Yep.
Saajid, does the Quran say that Jews and Christians have the Torah and the Gospel, that we read the Torah and the Gospel, and that we are supposed to judge by the Torah and the Gospel, which only makes sense if we have the Torah and the Gospel? And is it using the same words, Torah and Gospel, which you just said refer to books of Allah given to Moses and Jesus? That's the Islamic dilemma, Saajid. How are you not getting this? How are you not getting this? Allah says, you just said it. You just said it. One, you're completely incoherent. This is the only example of a book of Allah that we have. But you acknowledge that the Torah and the Gospel were also books of Allah. You acknowledge that. The missing step, the point you're missing is the Quran also says Jews and Christians have the Torah and the Gospel. We have the Torah and the Gospel. The same words that are used to refer to those books. So it says we have those books. And you're saying we don't. You're saying I don't know what to do, man. I feel like I'm explaining this for a 4-year-old, since that's the only way Saajid knows how to communicate, but he still doesn't get it. So maybe that's why he communicates like a 4-year-old. He thinks like a 4-year-old, and he's just not getting this. This is bad, guys. This is bad. This is an ongoing problem. Like, it's when I respond to Lily J and I show that she completely like destroyed her own case, or that she called Muhammad God or something like that, and I point that out, and then the people who are dumb enough to follow Lily J, they come start arguing with me. But you find out very quickly they're like, I'm not even joking. It's a sad situation. They're too dumb to understand anything you're saying. They don't understand. They're just, oh, pretty girl here, say something right. And you say, you guys understand this verse that she just quoted, and she says there's a prophecy about Muhammad. This is actually about God. This is a verse about God, and she just said that's referring to Muhammad. So she just called Muhammad God. Do you not see a point? And they won't understand anything. They don't understand the verse they're reading. They don't understand anything. They just, oh, blonde girl, she say something. And it's like, you realize they're too dumb to even understand a response. They don't understand what she said. They don't understand what I'm saying. They don't understand anything, and you can't explain it to them because they're the product of 40 generations of first cousin marriage. It's just a wild situation, which I guarantee that sums up Saajid's audience. 40 generations of first cousin marriage, and they don't understand anything. You have to talk to them like 4-year-olds.
That might be the new strategy for this guy. We just have to get coloring books, and this is the Islamic dilemma.
Yeah,
we have to first define what does Islam mean? What does dilemma mean? What does paper mean?
We pitched it too high. We needed to bring it all the way down. Okay, Saajid, Surah 3, verse 81, Surah Al Imran. ثم, then, جاءكم, came to you, Rasulun, the messenger, Muhammad, مصدق, confirming, lima, to, ma'akum, what is with you. A messenger came to you, confirming what is with you.
What is with you? Now,
yes.
So according to Saajid, he's not talking about a book. Saajid, what's he confirming that's with them? Because you're saying he's not confirming the book. He can't because the Bible's just wrong. Okay, according to you. What is he confirming that is with them? Their sandwiches? What? What's he confirming? Their clothes? What's he confirming? Their shoes? What is he confirming?
I think it's the cow aliens.
Yeah, cattle that came from the sky.
It's the cow aliens.
It's the cow aliens. He's confirming the cow aliens that are with him.
They had books and commentaries too, tafsirs too, at the time.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So was he confirming the commentaries, the cow aliens, or what was he? What was he confirming, Saajid?
They had something with them, the people of the book, that Allah liked. What is that?
And he's saying, hey, you should confirm my book because I'm confirming what you have. What's he talking about, Saajid? Because you're telling us you're not confirming the book. What is he confirming? And when he talks about the books that they have and that they read and that they're supposed to judge by, he calls them the Torah and the Gospel. Why does he call them the Torah and the Gospel if they're not the Torah and the Gospel? Why does he use the same word? Remember, Saajid, you're the champion of univocity, that a word or phrase can only mean one thing ever. That's why you went and you said, oh, but the Bible calls Adam a son of God, and therefore when Jesus calls himself the son of God, it must mean the same thing. Even though it's clear in the Bible he's talking about a completely different sense and that he is the unique son of God. It's clear from the Bible. You insist. No, one phrase, one word, one phrase can only mean one thing ever. Okay. If Torah is the book revealed to Moses, as you just granted, then when the Quran says that we have the Torah and that we read the Torah and that we're supposed to judge by the Torah, what's that mean? Does he mean something other than the Torah? That would violate your own principle. Same thing with the Injil. The Injil is a book given to Jesus. The Quran says we have the Injil and that we read the Injil and that we have to judge by the Injil. If Injil can only mean Injil, how can you insist that it's not talking about the Injil that we have? Like how? How? Please explain this to us. This is why we want you to join us live. We don't understand anything you're saying, Saajid. It makes no sense given what the Quran says. It makes zero sense. And we're inviting you, please come explain it to us like you're explaining it to your 4-year-old listeners. We're begging you, dude. We do not, you're making zero sense here. Zero, zero, zero. And then you keep doing stuff like, this has 3 letters. That proves it's a book of God. And we're like, whoa, that is a pretty huge leap there, dude. This one's color coded. This means it's the only example we have of a book of God. What are you talking about? You sound insane, dude. You sound actually insane with this nonsense. And we're sitting there thinking, in the Bible, you've got this situation with the Apostle Paul, and someone's like, wow, your great learning is driving you mad. They're like, you're so smart, it's driving you crazy. With you, it's like dawah is making you insane, but it's like how stupid it is that's making you mad. You're the anti-Paul, dude. And what's crazy is you probably appreciate that because of what your dawah has done to you, has done to your ability to think. Guys, if you don't take away anything else from this whole thing, just look at this and think this is what a dawah guy thinks is a successful response to an argument. It makes no sense, contradicts his own book left and right, non sequitur after non sequitur after non sequitur, straw man, non sequitur, and so on. And this is dawah. And then all the fans, alhamdulillah, such a powerful response. They've been humiliated.
I also want people to see the quality of human being that comes to Islam, converts to Islam, the quality of their thinking. And that person isn't just any convert. He has a following. He's learned. He took a bachelor in dawah. He went to Medina, and this is the level of argument, of proof, of whatever you want to call it, that this religion attracts. Just for any people wanting to go into it.
And yet, so this is like the intellectual level of someone who becomes a da'i. Saajid isn't nearly as popular as certain other da'is because he doesn't do a lot of the antics, the chest thumping. Oh, I'll humiliate you. I'm stronger than you, and so on. He's too calm. So this is your example of calm dawah and what sort of person is drawn to this. And then you have the other kind of dawah, the chest thumping Muhammad hijab type. But guys, take your pick. But this is what dawah produces.
Injil. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this page with the white background is an example of an actual preserved book from Allah.
Prove it, Saajid. Prove it. Give us any evidence at all. You're about to try and just display your ignorance again and read us the dawah script.
This is the Quran given to...
What's that?
I'm just saying, what does he mean by preserved as well? Because that book that he has there, it was printed with the Quran and with the tafsir on it. So they both existed on that book at the same time. Mm-hmm. And as long as that book has been preserved, they've both been preserved together. So what is he talking about?
It's the white background that makes it
it's the white I see. Okay, it's the white background. Okay. That's what makes it Allah's word.
Okay. Yeah, 3 letters means something is from God, and white background means it's also from God.
Oh boy.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Quran has been passed down through authentic chains of narration in the original language. It has been preserved. So now that we've been reminded of what a book of Allah looks like, step number 2 is being reminded of what a hadith is. And while acknowledging that an authentic hadith...
Sunnah.com.
I thought he just
hadith.
wanted to break down tafsir, but no, he has to break down what a hadith is. Guys, keep in mind, this is all a response to the Islamic dilemma.
So
You getting this?
before the internet, what did the hadith look like? Because all I can see is a screen with sunnah.com on it. So is that how it always looked like in the hadith world in all these hundreds of years? Like, do you realize how silly you sound? This is what hadith looks like. It has green background.
See, it's color coded too. And you might think because this is color coded that it's the Quran. But no, you'd be wrong. Because not everything that's color coded is actually a book of Allah. What is this? So it looks like the only thing that's supposed to respond to us in this entire video is that we think that when the Quran is talking about our book, that it's saying it's a book of Allah, which it repeatedly says flat out. So Saajid, you could have made a 20-second video. This could have been 20 seconds instead of 9 minutes plus. You could have just said, they think that their book is a book of Allah when it's not a book of Allah. There's only one book of Allah that still remains. Just say that. That's all you had to say, dude. It's all you had to say because it's the only point you're making. And it's stupid and wrong according to your own book, but we wouldn't have had to watch all this nonsense. And these are what letters are. Let me talk to you about letters. Aleph, Ba. Dude, what is this? Okay. Back to Saajid.
Hadith is revelation. An authentic hadith is still not the Quran. It is still not considered a book of Allah. A hadith, generally speaking, refers to a teaching of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So here we see the first hadith mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari, which is of course a collection of authentic hadith gathered by the great hadith scholar Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah. So the first thing I want to emphasize is how there is a chain of narration here. In order for a hadith to be accepted, it has to be authenticated. We have to know that this is something that the Prophet ﷺ actually said. It's not something that somebody just made up. It's not something that was passed down by somebody who had a bad memory.
Oh, really?
Hafs in question.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was just about to wonder that guy. I was just wondering that, guys. So he's saying that it's you know, hey, these hadiths are great because they come with these lists of names, and it's just it's amazing that no matter how many times you explain this to him, he doesn't get it. This is what dawah does to your brain. You have this hadith methodology, which was invented by later Muslims. They came up with a method. They did the best they could. Most people historians regard this as a very, very stupid methodology. Because people in different areas can just make up lists of names, which is what they were doing. But so you have this methodology that's invented by Muslims. And then Saajid acts like anything that doesn't have this is just defective because it doesn't do what these guys did. Okay, who are these guys? How do they speak for? How are these guys the only historians in history who ever figured out how to do history, according to Saajid? Tell us. We want to know. Why is this the only way to verify something that your guys came up with at some point? And the reason they came up with the methodology is because hundreds of thousands of stories were being invented. Muslims were inventing stories left and right about Muhammad. Any position you want to say, hey, I want to wake up on this side of the bed. You sit there and write a story. Muhammad said, wake up on this side of the bed. No, I believe I want to wake up on that side of the bed. Another person write, oh no, Muhammad said, well, I woke up on that side of the bed. And that's what they're doing. And then it becomes, oh, we want to trace it back to earlier and earlier authority. So one guy says, oh, well, I got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so. And he says, oh, but I could go back farther than that. And then we'll trace it back to a companion of Muhammad. That's their methodology. And then you act, oh, if you don't have that, you don't know how to do history. This is so insanely stupid. It is a stupid methodology. Saajid, I could just say, okay, from now on, I'm inventing a methodology. Any true story will start with the words fee, fi, fo, fum. And if you don't start with fee, fi, fo, fum, you are not reliable history. And then imagine my followers buy into that idiotic nonsense and they start going around and start going, up, your stuff doesn't start with fee, fi, fo, fum, so it's not real. And you throw it out. Saajid, wouldn't you think that that's stupid? That's what you sound like. That's what you sound like. And you don't get it because of what dawah has done to your brain. So that's one problem, is that the entire methodology is screwed up. But Giant DOC, you just brought up something. He's saying that the list here, the list of names here in this isnad, these are all reliable guys. These are not forgetful guys. These are not deceptive guys. These guys are as good as gold. And guess what? You've also got chains of transmission for the Quran itself. Now, you were pointing out some potential problem there. What would that problem be?
Yes, let's share that here.
Yeah,
while we...
until Josh shares it. If bad memory is a problem for a chain, Hafs, guess where Hafs got it from? The Quran. Awesome had bad memory. So now the chain is broken.
Yes.
So the book that he had with the white background, the Quran, the person he has it is a liar, Hafs, and the bad memory is the person he got it from. Awesome. So he should throw out the Quran now.
Yes, so he just gave us an example of something that he considers in his Islamic scholars consider to be a strong, authentic hadith. Now we're going to show you guys an example of a weak hadith, da'if. It's something that's weak. And
says it right there, guys. Weak. It's da'if.
Yeah, right.
It's weak.
There's
it's a weakling.
Yeah, and there's a reason why this is considered weak. I mean,
well, I know it's going to be a good reason. Whatever the reason is for classing, because hadith methodology is such a good, strong methodology. Whatever the reason is for classifying this as weak, we know it's going to be an airtight case. An airtight case.
And look, it has the background, the background of Sunnah.com, so we know it's really a hadith. Okay.
Yeah, you have like the green for the narration
and the
part there,
and the cream for the background.
Yes.
Now, lots of colors.
Now notice there's a name there, Hafs bin Suleiman, and he's in this chain. Now, why do the scholars say this hadith is weak? Well, let's see what the scholars say. Now, for those of you who don't know, Saajid, maybe you learned this in Medina, I don't know, but this is the Hafs that you get your Quran from. The one that you're actually showing on the screen, and you're saying this is the one that's preserved. We are sure that this is the book that Allah revealed to a messenger. Well, guess what? The scholars say that this very hadith is weak. For what reason?
Because it has Hafs in the chain. It's inauthentic because Hafs bin Sulaiman is in the chain. He is nothing in hadith. He is weak in hadith. Why is he weak in hadith? Because he's a liar.
Yeah, we have like the summary version of it here. So this is the chain for that Muslims have for Hafs. It goes Hafs, then it goes Awesome, Abi Abdul Rahman, and then it goes through the companions after that. So we have Hafs, he's a liar. This is just a summary version, but we've done full shows on this with David. Liar, thief, fabricator, like he's fabricated chains. He's a distorter, unreliable.
So Hafs, you like Hafs and you like chains. Hafs is a distorter and fabricator of chains. Saajid, where you get your nice Quran from in the box with the white background. That's all fabricated by Hafs, potentially. Unreliable. Awesome, the guy that he gets it from is no good. His memory is bad in itself. They're all broken. They're all broken in some way. Abi Abdurrahman al-Sulami we actually have from Suyuti verses from this guy who were recited as the Quran. He swears that he heard him from Muhammad and he taught them to others. They don't appear in your Quran today. They're called the verses of al-Qunut. You just have them as a dua.
So there you go. We just gave an example of a weak hadith there. So
I want everyone to understand what just happened there. Go back to that slide about the summary slide there. Okay, guys. So we know some people are new to this. So
yes,
Saajid is saying, hey, we've got this methodology in Islam. We've got this isnad method, right? We've got this methodology where our hadiths come with a list of names. It's a chain of transmission. I got this story from so-and-so, who got it 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 from so-and-so, who was a companion of Muhammad and heard it from Muhammad. And they're just like, their minds are blown by this methodology. It's the greatest thing ever. It's so great. What a wonderful method. And they all just take this for granted that they have a reliable methodology. Now, what's the problem here? Well, you have the same thing with the Quran. The Quran also comes with, I got it from so-and-so, who 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 got it from so-and-so. And that methodology, I got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so. They have different versions of the Quran today, different kirat and so on. And though the different Qurans, they contain different teachings, they contain even contradictory teachings sometimes, right? But they'll all have the list of names of how you got this Quran. The main version of the Quran, the most popular version, not because it was the strongest or the best, it was just that was the version of the Ottoman Empire. That was the version of the Ottoman Empire. So the Ottoman Empire spread this around, and when they, in the early 20th century, when they decided to put out an official version of the Quran, they used they used the Hafs for the 1924 Cairo edition. And even then, it took them 7 years to try and compile one. That's how messed up this whole system is. But anyway, what Jai and DOC are pointing out there is Hafs, the guy who transmitted the most popular, most common version of the Quran that's used today, was not trusted to even transmit a hadith. In other words, if a hadith scholar is looking at a hadith and he's looking at the chain of transmission and who transmitted it, if he sees Hafs on there, if he sees this guy who transmitted the main version of the Quran that we have today, if a hadith scholar sees Hafs on there, he says, oh, this is a weak hadith. You can't trust this guy. Why? Look up at the top. He's a liar. He's a thief. He's a fabricator. He's a distorter. He's unreliable. And it went through Asim, who was known for having a bad memory and unreliable. So what guys, there are two possibilities here. Either you take your method seriously and you don't trust stuff from people who are regarded as liars, thieves, fabricators, distorters, and so on, in which case, throw out your main version of the Quran. Or even you don't take your methodology seriously, Saajid, because what you want to say is, well, okay, this is Hafs, and Hafs is regarded as a liar, a thief, a fabricator, and so on, and it goes through Asim, and well, he's known for having a bad memory, and he's unreliable, but you know what? The Quran's just still as good as gold. Okay, then you don't really believe that your methodology, you don't believe in your methodology, you don't take it seriously. Why do you apply it to everyone else? Why do you apply this stupid methodology to everyone else when it's a joke?
Exactly.
This is just sad and pathetic, guys.
And Saajid, one of the many scholars that didn't like Hafs and said he was a thief, guess who? Your beloved Bukhari.
Actually, you know what? I have we have like a grocery list of scholars who talk about Hafs here. I don't know. Let's see. Where do we want to start?
Oh man. Let's give him the names that he might know.
Okay.
You want it back on the screen or?
Oh.
We can
there you
just
go.
say, I mean,
I tossed it up on the screen. There you go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we have like a grocery list of we have like Bukhari, the one that he just mentioned, the great Imam Bukhari.
oh, this is Hadith 1 of Imam Bukhari.
Yeah.
That's what Bukhari said about your Hafs.
Yeah.
That you get your Quran from.
He's abandoned Hadith. And guess what else he said? Right? No, not this one. We got a bunch of stuff here. Yeah, Imam Bukhari right there. He tells us that Hafs he stole books. Okay, he would take people's books and he would copy them.
And plagiarize.
He'd plagiarize
Just like
them.
how Muhammad did to the Bible.
But we want to be clear that these were not the books of Allah that this thief was stealing. These were not books because they didn't have the 3 letters on them.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, so yeah, that's that for now. Yeah, for now. Yeah.
All right. And I just want to add. I've quoted this before, but people don't understand what a joke the Hadith methodology is, according to scholars. So you have Muslims who you just have to, as a Muslim, accept this methodology, even though it was invented by men. And it shows that your religion is very men-centered. It's men who are coming up with all this stuff. It's human beings who are coming up with all this stuff, but they treat it as if this is like directly from Allah. It's not. But here's what. There are actually non-Muslim Hadith scholars. There are non-Muslim Hadith scholars. There aren't a lot of them, but there are non-Muslim historians who are experts in the Hadith. They think of this system as like a joke. Like you have to really struggle to get reliable information from the Hadiths because they're late and they were written in a period where the guys are fabricating sources left and right. They're just doing it. They're cooking up sources like they're cooking up falafel. But let me go ahead and give you a quote. This is not from an Islamophobe. This is not from a critic of Islam. This is from a guy who is trying to defend Islam against Islamophobes. And he writes a doctoral dissertation on how we can't know that Aisha was 9, so we should all drop that objection. And I've seen Muslims use this. Say, Joshua Little, he says we can't even know how old Aisha was, you see. His argument is the hadith methodology is so screwed up and unreliable, you can't trust much of anything from the hadiths. And his dissertation is basically wrecking the hadiths and showing where they really came from. But here's the sort of summary of the reliability of hadiths. He says that hadith are unreliable, that any given matan, that's the content of the hadith, cannot be taken at face value as an accurate datum from the first Islamic century, and that any given isnad, that's the list of names, cannot be taken at face value as an accurate record of a matan's provenance, cannot be seriously contested for multiple reasons. Saying you can't seriously contest that we can't take these things as reliable. And he says for multiple reasons. First, there is an overwhelming prior probability based upon the ubiquity of fabrication and pseudepigraphy in late antique and medieval religio-historical, pagan, Jewish, and Christian ascriptions, meaning everyone during this time is just making things up to justify various positions. You can't trust them. Secondly, there is the high frequency of contradictions within the hadith corpus, which necessitates the occurrence of a huge amount of fabrication, interpolation, and or mutation, and therefore skepticism towards any given hadith. He's saying there's so many contradictions in the hadiths that are all classed as sahih, that you realize there's something really screwed up going on here. Thirdly, there is the ubiquity of fabrication and interpolation, both reported and demonstrable, in the hadith corpus, which again casts doubt upon the rest of the corpus. In other words, even in the hadiths, they're talking about people who are inventing things left and right. Fourthly, there is the rapid, extreme mutation and growth of reports that evidently took place over the course of a century or more of oral transmission, which means that any given matan, regardless of the isnad, is likely at best heavily distorted and at worst obliterated beyond its original form. So best case scenario, it's going to be heavily distorted. Worst case scenario, it's going to be obliterated beyond its original form. Why is this relevant? Because Saajid would look at these exact same hadiths and say, these are as good as gold. This is indisputable because it's got a list of names. It's got a list of names right there. Really? What if it has Hafs on it? Well, then he's unreliable. You can't trust that hadith. That's a weak hadith if it's got Hafs on it. Okay, the Quran you use is from Hafs. Oh, then it's as good as gold because Hafs, yeah, he's really, really great and would never lie. Somehow this makes sense. Somehow this makes sense then.
Actually, since we're on this point, maybe I will share the screen one more time because I want to get this on there. But on the topic of hadith, he mentioned this point before about hadiths being preserved in the original language on one of his other videos, and I had an example here. There's a hadith where Muhammad is said to have spoken in a way that wouldn't be like his dialect in Arabic, but it would be a way that like someone from Yemen would speak. So in Arabic, when like generally speaking, with very, very few exception, like maybe the northern region of Yemen, even today, instead of saying the definite article as al, they say m with like am. And so there's a hadith that circulates where instead of Muhammad saying al, it says am. And so the question is this hadith authentic? Because, why would Muhammad speak like that? And so Ibn Hajar comments on this. And if it's authentic or not, you can debate about that. But listen to the reasoning that he uses. He says, it's possible that, the person Muhammad was talking to was speaking in his dialect that he's accustomed to speaking. And when he narrated the hadith, he was narrating it in his dialect. And so he narrated with the wordings which he heard it in, like the Yemeni dialect. And he says that this is the most plausible view, that the hadith is, so this would mean that the hadith is not preserved verbatim, word for word, as Muhammad said it, but it's preserved like, okay, a narrator heard it this way, and then he might have spoken it in his dialect, and that's how it was eventually written down. So you're not getting the exact words of Muhammad. And how that's relevant, how that ties into the Quran is actually quite interesting. I wanted to show a quote here. Here's another scholar, Christopher Melchert, Melchert said that he quoting here that because it was difficult to remember the exact wording of thousands upon thousands of hadith reports, traditionists accepted the hadith would be transmitted with textual variants. And then he quotes Muslims here, and he says, if I started relating hadith to you, just as I have heard it, do not believe me. So here you have even Muslims here stating that, look, the hadith are not preserved word for word. And I remember we did a show, we responded to Yasser Qadi, and it was on that topic about, we were talking about, like, the gender of the child and who the child looks like. Well, it depends on, Muhammad said whoever comes first is what the child looks like. And I remember we went over that on a stream with David, with you here, and we were talking about how Yasser Qadi admitted in that video that actually those aren't the exact words of Muhammad. And Muslims do this all the time. In fact, Sheikh Uthman tried to do this with the Yemeni hadith, that the Yemenis are the best of all people. What they do is they compare all these different hadiths that are on a similar subject, and they take it, okay, Muhammad probably said this because a lot of hadiths are worded this way, but he probably didn't say it exactly like this. Like Uthman was trying to say that he didn't say that Yemenis are the best of people, which we proved was wrong, that actually is an authentic hadith according to the very sources that he appealed to, Al-Haythami and things like that. So the Muslim scholars, or even Muslims today, try to do this. They say, look, we don't know exactly as Muhammad said these things, but we can just kind of speculate. We can just kind of guess. And I just thought this is a really interesting quote here. It's continuing in this book from Christopher Melchert. And he says, Ibn Mujahid in the establishment of the 7 Quranic readings in his paper here, he quotes someone called Yahya bin Saajid al-Qattan. Al-Qattan, sorry. And he said, he is said to have feared to overburden people by insisting on the verbatim transmission of hadith. He says, quote, for the Quran is more sacred, yet it is permissible to recite variants of it.
Wow.
So long as the meaning is the same. Mm-hmm. So he's saying, look, why are we, like early Muslims are like, why are we persisting on verbatim transmissions of the hadith? Well, we don't even do that for the Quran. All right. So what do you think, David? I mean, I have a couple more things for slides for this, but I want to get your thoughts on this so far.
I mean, seriously, I just keep, whenever he brings up the point, I'm more thinking in terms of like, what language does Jesus speak in the Quran?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you have like the exact wording of things and them not being really obsessed with exact wordings. And okay, if you're getting the gist of what it says, then that's all that really matters. And so that would account for variants. Sounds like even variants in the Quran and so on. But then, so in other words, it doesn't matter where he goes with this stuff. It's just everything he's saying is completely wrong and stupid. We've got a book that preserves what people said in their original language. No, Jesus speaks Arabic in the Quran. Show us that Jesus spoke Arabic. You've got the Gospels are written in Greek. Guess what? That was a common language at the time. That's like English. That's like, are you shocked if you go to France and see someone speaking English? No, why? Because lots of people speak English. That's the common language of the time. But guess what? If you wanted to say, well, he wouldn't have known Greek and therefore you can't use those books. Okay, would have been significantly less likely to know Arabic.
Yeah.
And even then, if you want to go there and insist on exact transmission of Jesus' Arabic words and these Arabic words of Muhammad and so on, guess what? The people who are transmitting these things apparently didn't think it was extremely important to have exact words.
Exactly. Because he makes that point in his previous video, and he makes it in this video that we're reviewing today, which is that, oh, we have it preserved in the original language. Well, you don't actually have either one. You don't have the Quran or the Hadith preserved in the original language of Muhammad. That doesn't mean that it's not in Arabic, but it's not as he said it.
Yeah,
right?
so it doesn't matter if it's the same language, if people have put their own wordings on it, and it's a lot of human interference when they recall these things. That's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, should we say a bit, maybe less, more simpler? I don't know how to say more simply.
Well, we need to get like a coloring book for Saajid maybe. But there's this book that came out recently, and guess who writes the chapter on
Yasser Qadi.
yeah, on the
Yeah, but he
seven
doesn't like Yasser Qadi.
yeah, the seven ahruf and its relationship with the qira'at. Yasser Qadi, yes, he's the one who authored this chapter. And in that, well, you can like Yasser Qadi or not, but look at what he says here. He quotes a Zuhri, and it says here, oh wait, hold on. Where's the part? Oh yeah, sorry. We asked Az-Zuhri about rearranging words in hadith. He said this is allowed. This is allowed with regard to the Quran. So why should it not be allowed with the hadith as well?
Rearranging words.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like the Quran condemns Jews and Christians, saying we move words from their places and so on. So yeah, of course we move words of the Quran around. So why not with the hadith as well?
Exactly. And we have examples of this too. We have examples of this. There's like a story here, and there's a slight variation in this in different kind of like traditions. Some of them have Ibn Masud as the one who's doing it. This one's Abu Darda, and it says that he was teaching a man how to read a particular verse in the Quran. The verse says that the tree of Zaqum is the food of the sinner, and in Arabic, the sinner here is al-athim. But this man, for whatever reason, he couldn't say al-athim, so he kept saying al-yatim. And al-yatim means the orphan. So no matter what he would do, he just kept saying, instead of saying the sinner, he kept saying the orphan. So at the end, Abu Darda just kind of like threw his hands up, and he was like, fine, you know what? Don't say al-athim. Just use a whole different word, al-fajr, which means the wicked.
Al-fajr.
Yeah.
Nice.
The wicked instead
So
of.
now we know how it works. Hey, you having trouble pronouncing one thing? And just toss in something kind of in the same ballpark.
Yeah. So don't say al-athim, say al-fajr, and there you go. Just throw it out there. And we have a couple different examples of this here. We have just small,
Yeah, like instead of sayha, which means a shout, they said zaqiya, which is like a different word completely.
Yep.
Synonym.
And the scholars just think, hey, as long as you're saying a synonym, and even Anas as well, he's said to have just just swapped out words here using synonyms. We don't have to go into all these, but we have
that's the point.
plenty of examples of this. So the point is that, and I guess I'll just stop sharing it here.
So
Okay.
the point is everything Saajid lays down as a criterion, his stuff actually fails. He just doesn't know it.
Exactly. And so like the Quran, and by the way, when we get into a couple of more examples, like when we go into like chapter 15 verse 9 and its interpretation, we're going to see through other verses in the Quran that the companions had no problems, or the companions and the successors of companions had no problem saying that there were errors in the Quran. They had no problems. They were like, yeah, this is an error here, there's an error there, and we're gonna see that. But basically, the point is that Saajid wants you to believe that the Quran is preserved exactly as Muhammad said it, but the sources in Islam just don't allow for that. They're like, nah, you can say synonyms. And what Yasser Qadi proposes is that there's instead of like verbatim kind of like repeating what Muhammad said, he kind of proposes a divine permission model, which is that you just have this permission to use synonyms. So not necessarily the case that Muhammad said it like this, but you have this permission to kind of like swap out words, as long as they mean the same thing. So they do that for the Quran, they do it for the Hadith. So these books are not preserved in the way that Saajid is presenting.
So once again, Saajid just has no clue what he's talking about. He's going with the Dawah script that he was given in 2008, and no matter how much information he's given, he clings to the Dawah script from 2008. That's fine, Saajid. We think We think that's going to fail, but you keep at it, buddy. Okay, let's go back to Saajid here.
Possibly be misquoting the Prophet ﷺ, because we're talking about divine revelation. It says, حدثنا الحميدي Abdullah ibn Zubair. So what is this? This is the name of somebody who narrated this hadith. And he said, قال حدثنا Sufyan. He heard from Sufyan, who said, حدثنا Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari. And so on and so forth. There is a chain of narration with these names. And this chain is scrutinized. Every person in this chain has to fit certain criteria. This is something that testifies to this promise that Allah made in the Quran of preserving the revelation He sent down.
Saajid, did you not hear a word we just said? Did you not hear a word we just said? You used the hadith as an example of your methodology, this chain of transmission. And we've got this great methodology. Okay, the Quran that you use, the dominant Quran in the world today, fails that standard. It fails. You've got a weak transmitter. Matter of fact, you got multiple weak transmitters. Yeah. Why? Guys, just to be clear, Giant DOC, if you took the isnad that comes with the Hafs Quran, and a hadith scholar saw the exact same chain of transmission with a hadith, you're saying they would say, that is a weak hadith. You cannot trust this chain because of the people who are on it.
Yeah,
correct.
And we literally have the quotes of the scholars saying that very thing. They literally say Hafs bin Sulaiman is nothing in hadith.
Don't touch him.
Nothing. They say, this hadith is weak. Why? Because Hafs is in it and he's weak in hadith. And, they like to say, oh, but he's weak in hadith. That doesn't mean he's weak in Quran. Well, guess what? Why is he weak in hadith?
Because
he's a liar, a fabricator, right? Those traits transfer over. So it's not just like it's not just like the matter of having a memory where like, okay, somebody has a good memory when it comes to, I don't know, history, and the other one has a good memory when it comes to some like set of trivia facts or something. It's not just like you're good in one area and you haven't studied as much.
Yeah,
I'm good
at math, but bad at reading or something like that. You could have someone who's good at math and you'd still trust them in math and so on. This is still this issue is still whether you can be trusted transmitting traditions.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't stop being a liar and a thief when he was handling the Quran.
Yeah, like these moral judgments or moral characteristics transfer over into any quality of life, and they like to use the example of like doctors who specialize, like a cardiologist or something like that. Oh, he specializes in the heart, but you wouldn't necessarily trust him to, let's say, do like your brain surgery or something like that, because he's good at heart, but he was your brain surgery or something, and they like to say like that. Well, guess what? If this cardiologist has a track record of fabricating his reports, his medical reports, and he's also got a track record of lying, then I don't care. You don't trust him at all.
And you hear from other doctors and like that. Do not go anywhere near that dude.
Yeah,
that dude can't be trusted with anything. So everyone watching, pay attention to what's going on, because Saajid doesn't say it, and there's no scenario where his followers are going to hear it from him. He's sitting here saying, and Muslims are just dazzled by that. Oh, it got list of names. Oh my goodness, list of names. I mean, can be trusted. Really? Could I sit here and write you a list of names right now? Yes, you could, but it wouldn't be reliable. Okay, neither's the list of names you have for the Quran. Not according to what? According to the actual people who examine the names, you can't trust the Quran based on the list of names. And Saajid, he says, look at this list of names we've got in this reliable hadith. Yeah, Saajid, and you use that to say why we can trust the Quran when the list of names is not reliable on the Quran. And you just breeze on by that because your followers are too dumb. Boy, what a religion, man.
It's not only an incredible method of preservation, but it is unique to Islam. So we have this entire chain of narration up until what? Until we have the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saying something. And in this hadith, he's saying, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى. The reward of deeds depends upon the intentions, and every person will get the reward according to what he has intended. So this is an example of an authentic hadith, and this is considered revelation. However, this is not the Quran. This is not Kitabullah. It's
actually better than the Quran, because at least it has a list of transmitters that you would regard as reliable, unlike the Quran.
I just realized something. I know why he went to this hadith. This hadith number 1 in the 40 of Nawawi as well is the first hadith they taught me when I was about 7. So he's going to the hadith that he can pronounce, because that's the first thing he was probably taught in Medina. Now I know why he's going to a completely unrelated.
You've been busted, Saajid.
So it's funny is that he's not only talking on like a kid's level for just in general, but even when it comes to Islamic education, he's talking on a kid's
I
level.
was wondering why he's going to these random things. That's number one of everything. This hadith number one, and now I know.
Yeah. Oh.
This is hadith. This is the hadith of the. This is hadith number 1. It's the hadith of the day. Yes, Ajay, get to hadith number 3. That one's hilarious. That's about Muhammad getting roughed up by Gabriel in the cave, assuming it was Gabriel, not Deha al-Kalbi. Anyway.
Book of Allah. Again, this is an example of the written words of Allah.
We're back to
This
this?
is an example of a book of hadith. This is the first hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari that we were just reading from. Here we can see it even contains an ayah from the Quran. When we see these brackets here, he's mentioning an ayah. However, this is a book of what? A hadith. And this
In brackets,
Oh man.
I can't.
Oh man. So this differs from the Quran because when it's quoting the Quran, you see there's brackets here, so you know it's not the Quran.
You know what? I've forgotten the Islamic dilemma by now. What is the Islamic dilemma? I've forgotten.
Yeah,
Man.
you just destroyed the Islamic dilemma. We don't remember it anymore, Sajid. Great job. You've destroyed our brains.
is not a book of Allah. Even though it contains revelation, there's a clear distinction between the two. Now, if there was a book similar to this that was filled with quotes and teachings of Prophet Musa alayhi salam or Prophet Isa alayhi salam, and it had authentic chains of narration showing that they were trustworthy and authentic narrations,
Unlike the Quran, which has Hafs as a transmitter. Right, Sajid?
which Christians and Jews do not have. Because as I mentioned, this is something
Christians and Jews do not
Whoa.
have because it was not invented as a stupid methodology until Muslims came along. That's when it was invented as the most ridiculous methodology. Why? Because any idiot could do this. I can make a story right now and come up with a list of names, Sajid. I can do this right now. Oh, gosh. All right, let me back this up. And he's going to say, oh, but it wouldn't be reliable transmitters. Neither does the list of names that comes with your Quran, Sajid. How are you not getting this? How? Please tell me how. Anyway.
So Allah lied.
I'm curious though, where are one of these authentic, or forget about the hadith, where is it in the Quran or the hadith where this methodology is laid out, where in order to know that this is from Allah, it has to have this, chain of narration, and this is the science
Muhammad never said it.
He never even knew about this. But one thing that, Muhammad did say, according to the Quran, according to the hadith, is he's repeating Allah supposedly, the demon that he called Allah, whatever this spirit was that was controlling him, said that he's confirming what is with the Jews and the Christians, having no idea what he was doing. No idea that he was sealing his fate, and everyone would know from this point forward that he's a false prophet. He didn't even know what he was doing. But he said over and over and over and over again that his God confirms what they have, the books that they had. He didn't say, let me see your chain. Let me see the chain. Let me see the chain of narration. You guys claim to have the Torah. Where's the chain? He never said that.
Yeah, I want to see one hadith from sunnah.com or wherever you get your hadiths from, Saajid, where Muhammad said the Jews and Christians don't have the right chains, therefore their Torah and gospel are corrupt. I want that hadith.
Sajid, we
Or
want
anywhere
that.
it is.
Hey, I just want to say, just to be clear, this is all bid'ah, right? This is just flat out innovation, right?
Yeah.
Right, yes.
Yeah, it's indisputable. Here's the only way to verify anything, or the only way to do history, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, where'd you get that? From a bunch of mere human beings. Okay, your God and your prophet say that? No. Okay, so you made it up, right? You're making up a methodology, and you're making this up, and you're using this methodology to then rule out things that your book affirms. What is it? That's flat out straight up innovation. So everything I hear from this guy is him associating partners with Allah, him innovating. It's just amazing stuff. But
And we even have reports from Zayd ibn Thabit who actually called it that. He said when they were gathering the Quran, why would you do something that Muhammad never said to do?
Muhammad didn't say do this. Muhammad didn't say do this.
We were listening to an interview between Yasser Qadi and some Egyptian sheikh, and this topic came up, and they were like, "Oh, this was a good bid'ah. It was a good innovation.
It's a good one, yeah.
A good one."
Yes. This is good innovation. This is good mutter. This is bad mutter, but this is good mutter.
I think they call it
Muhammad Hijab is doing good mutter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think they call it something like bid'ah by necessity or something like that. It was some kind of title like this is a good version
That's the good
because they
bid'ah.
used the Quran. Yeah,
So yeah, you can post
Yeah.
a response video on clarifying what's good bid'ah and what's bad bid'ah. Saajid.
Trustworthy and authentic narrations, which Christians and Jews do not have. Because as I mentioned, this is something exclusive to Islam. But if they did have such a thing, then those books still would not be books of Allah. They would not be the
What?
scriptures that Allah revealed to those prophets. Such books would not be the Torah or the Injil, but they would be books of a hadith.
Saajid.
What?
So if they wouldn't even be the Torah and the Injil, why does Allah and Muhammad call them the Torah and the Injil? Are you not getting this, Saajid? You're sitting here saying, even if they had the reliable chains of transmission for their books, it still wouldn't be the Torah and the Gospel, the books that were revealed to Moses and Jesus. They still wouldn't be books of Allah. They still wouldn't be the Torah and the Gospel. Why do Muhammad and Allah call them the Torah and the Gospel? You're sitting here saying they're not the Torah and the Gospel. Why does Allah call them the Torah and the Gospel? They're not the Torah and the Gospel. You're saying they're not the Torah and the Gospel. They're not the books of God. They're something else. Okay, why does Allah take these random things, whatever we have, these monstrosities that we have, and say, oh yeah, it's the Torah and the Gospel? And you're saying, no, Allah doesn't know what he's... How are you not getting this, dude? You're explaining everything for a 4-year-old. I feel like we've explained this as we would explain it to a 4-year-old. You acknowledge Torah and Gospel as given to Moses and Jesus. Those are books of God. You grant that. But you're saying what we have, not books of God. And the first we say, why? You say, oh, because you don't have the chains of transmission. See, but even if you had the chain, I got it from so-and-so, 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 got it from Jesus. I got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so, got it from so-and-so, who got it from Moses? You still wouldn't say that they're books of God, even though those were books of God. You'd still say they're not books of God. They're something else. What's the problem? Your God and your prophet call them the Torah and the Gospel. Why? Why are you saying the opposite? That's what we're trying to figure out. And just babbling about, oh, this is a book, this is a page. These look, colors. You're not answering anything, dude. You're not answering it.
Wow.
He's got me wanting to take a bite out of this Quran.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You're taking me off, man. You're taking me
That's what I
off.
was saying.
It's going to cost you a page
know
of the
what?
Quran here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
There we go.
That's on you, buddy. Now we're going to go ahead and listen to you. Now, Saajid, we're going to listen to you. Pretend you're answering. Why is this happening? Because you're pretending to answer something and you're not answering the most basics of the basics. And so this is how you're treating the Quran. I'm just doing it visually.
And you know
Those
something? You know something as well? Is that he's saying, oh, you guys don't have these books, and you certainly don't have them with these, this methodology. And like you pointed out, why would we use this methodology that Muslims made up later on? Why would we do that?
And Muhammad never even said.
Yeah, even your fake prophet, your false prophet never even gave you this criteria, never even said anything about this.
And he had no proof. Give me a hadith where Muhammad said, you know what, the Torah and the Gospel, they're just a hadith.
Where does Allah say that?
There's no more the Torah and Gospel because their chains are messed up or whatever. Go on, David.
All right, let's listen to him.
So now that we have been reminded of what a hadith is, and how even an authentic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is revelation, it's still not the Quran. Let's move on to the third and final step.
Okay, did everyone catch what he just said? He said a hadith. You've got the hadith. It's not the Quran. It's not the Quran. It's revelation. It can be revelation if it includes the words of Muhammad, but it's not the Quran. Okay, Saajid, what if someone called it the Quran?
Ooh.
You'd think, oh, this person's being stupid because they're calling something that is not the Quran, right? Why are they using the word Quran to describe this thing that is not the Quran? What an idiot. That's what you'd think, right, Saajid? Okay, you're saying we don't have the Torah and the Gospel, but Allah calls them the Torah and the Gospel. Why? You get it? You get it now? Saajid, somehow you understand that if something is not the Quran, you don't call it the Quran. You wouldn't call a hadith the Quran. You wouldn't do it, even though it's revelation. Okay, you wouldn't call it that because it would be the wrong name for that thing. Okay, fine. And you're saying the book that the Jews and Christians have, it's not the Torah and the Gospel. All right. Allah calls it the Torah and the Gospel. If it's something else, if it's something like a hadith, if it's something like the Sirah, if it's something like tafsir, if it's something else, if it's some random book, why do your God and your prophet call them the Torah and the Gospel? That's what we're trying to figure out, and it's what you won't answer at all. We ask you to answer it, and you just start babbling about, this is a book, this is a book. Yeah, we know what a book is. We know what a hadith is. We know all this stuff. Why does your God, you're sitting here insulting people. You'd have to be a complete idiot to call a hadith the Quran, because a hadith is not the Quran. The Quran is the book of Allah only. Okay, and then you say, yeah, the Torah was originally a book of Allah. The Gospel was originally the book of Allah, but you're saying they're not that anymore. But your God and your prophet still call them by the names. Why? You would make fun of us if we did that. If we called a hadith the Quran, you would say we're idiots. But you're saying that's what your God does with our book. Why? You not realize you're not insulting us. You're insulting your God here, dude. You don't even. And I'm sitting here defending you. Wow. All right.
Step 3. And step 3 is going to be a reminder regarding the Sirah. Now, the Sirah is a category that refers to the biography of Prophet Muhammad.
Is it now?
Generally speaking, books of Sirah don't have the same level of stringent conditions in comparison to the Quran and a hadith.
What stringent conditions with the Quran? You'll accept guys who are known fabricators.
Books of Sirah can contain a lot of information that cannot be authenticated in the same way that a hadith can. But that's because books of Sirah are not used in the same way that the Quran and authentic Sunnah.
Actually, no, Saajid. The reason that the Sirah doesn't have the fully developed hadith methodology is because the methodology hadn't been developed yet. It's a later invention. Do you understand that, Saajid? When you're saying, why don't Jews and Christians use this method? The method hadn't been invented yet. The stupid, let's call it what it is. The stupid method hadn't been invented yet. But guess what? By the time of Ibn Ishaq, this full-fledged method that Bukhari used hadn't been invented yet. That's why it doesn't use them. It's not, because it's on different things. No, it just hadn't been invented yet.
This is a book of Sirah by Ibn Ishaq. It's one of the early books of Sirah. And if we browse through this book, we can see it's written much different in comparison to the Mus'haf, the Quran, or books of a hadith of the Prophet.
I don't see color.
As we can see here, contain ayat from the Quran. In between these brackets, we see ayat from the Quran, and we see the footnotes mentioning the references. It also contains a hadith. Here it says, Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, says that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said. And then if we look at the footnote, it says that this hadith has a weak chain. So this does contain ayat from the Quran. It contains a hadith of the Prophet alayhi wasallam. However, the vast majority of what's written here is not ayat from the Quran or a hadith of the Prophet alayhi wasallam. Here is an English translation of the same book.
Wow.
Will you get to the point, dude? Get to the point. This is what Syria is. Look, and that's the Arabic, but here's the English. Look, here's an English translation of this of Sirat Rasulullah. Isn't this?
He's trying to say that our books just have part of what the verses from Allah, and the rest is human
parts.
That's right. That's right. And here's we want everyone to take this away. This is where he's really going with this, ladies and gentlemen. He's saying the Bible is more like a combination of things, because it contains just like narration of various things and so on, and so it's more like hadith and sirah and things like that. Okay, Saajid, and what's your point? What's your point here? It's you wouldn't call the sirah the Quran, you wouldn't call the hadith the Quran. So you have to be clear on what's the Quran and what's something different. Okay, Saajid, I agree. You wouldn't call the Sirah the Quran. You wouldn't call the Hadith the Quran. And you're saying the Bible is more like Hadith or Sirah. Okay, granting all of that, you got one big glaring problem. Your God calls it the Torah and the Gospel. And your prophet calls it the Torah and the Gospel. That's what you're not explaining. You're saying only an idiot would call the Sirah the Quran. Even if the Sirah quotes the Quran, you still wouldn't call the Sirah the Quran. You'd be a moron if you did that. Okay, that's what you're saying that your God did with with our book. He calls it the Torah and the Gospel, even though it's not. So you're not attacking us, dude. You're not responding to the Islamic dilemma. You're making fun of your God and calling him an idiot and a liar. I don't know. He's trying
And
to.
the Quran,
I feel like he's trying to wear us down with stupidity just by making us like too insanely stupid to ever want to deal with it.
it's very out there, but unfortunately, the Quran doesn't leave room for any of that doubt because, like, for example, in Surah 2, verse 121, it says, to those whom we've given the book, they recite it with its true recital, and those believe in it.
What book?
And in
Yeah, what book is
that's
that?
in the Quran. And then Tafsir Tabari
Not a book
says,
of Allah, though.
he means by them the scholars from the children of Israel who
Oh.
acknowledged the rulings of the Torah and acted upon it. And also in Tabari, it says that these people, this group from the people of the book, they read it as it was revealed without distorting any words from their places, nor interpreting it as anything else other than its proper interpretation.
But it's
So
not
how
the
can
word.
it?
But
So,
it's not.
so how can
It's not a book of Allah.
it's a book of Allah?
Because Saajid heard it in 2008. He heard that we didn't have the book of Allah, and therefore he's still glued to that. No matter how many times Allah says that He's affirming our book and that it's the book of Allah, Saajid says, nope. I heard in 2008 from the Dawa guy who lied to me about the perfect preservation of the Quran. I heard it from him, and therefore you can't back down from that because we know the entire religion is whatever a guy told me in 2008.
Wow.
So it's not a book mixed with some stuff. Sorry. Quick continue.
Oh boy.
This is a biography. This is much different than the ahadith. This is much different than
You want me to eat another page, Saajid? Keep going with this.
I think he does.
I think he does.
Just keep going, Saajid. Keep going. I better not see that 10 seconds from now. If I still see Ibn Asaq up on the screen and you pretending that you're answering the Islamic dilemma, that's another page, buddy.
the Quran, the book of Allah. Look at all of this information. Look at all of these things that are written. Now, what is the conclusion? What is the main reason I wanted to point all this out for? If you followed along with everything I said in this video, then understand and internalize and let resonate the fact of how wrong somebody would be if they tried to claim that Sirah ibn Ishaq, that this biography is the same thing as the Quran.
Anyone catching this?
Oh man.
Did you see what
Yeah,
he's
there's only parts of the Quran in there.
So think about what he's saying. He's saying you think about how wrong someone would be to call the Sirah the Quran. He's saying think about how wrong someone would be. What's he doing, guys? What is he doing? Think. It's Saajid. Saajid, you can get this, buddy. You can get this. If you're saying, think about how wrong someone would be to call the Sirah the Quran. The Bible is more like the Sirah. Therefore, you shouldn't call it books of God, and your God calls it the Torah and the Gospel. How are you not getting this? You're saying it would be wrong. Your word, not mine. You're saying it would be wrong to call the Sirah the book of God or call it the Quran. Your God calls our book the Torah and the Gospel. How are you not getting this? You're saying it's not the Torah and the Gospel. It's more like the Sirah. It's not a book of God. He calls it the exact same names of the books of God that were revealed to Moses and Isa. How? I know I've explained this 75 times, but I feel like that's what it takes for someone like Saajid and his fans to get it. How are you not getting this? How? Please tell me. I don't know how someone could be so insane. I guarantee you every person in the chat's going, how is he explaining this over and over again? It's so easy. Why is he so, what does he think we're all stupid? No, I think Saajid is stupid. But I think he can still grasp this somehow. There's the image of God is massively distorted and corrupted by his religion, but it's still there on some level. Come on, Saajid. Tap into the image of God within you and use your God-given reasoning ability to realize what you just said destroys your entire religion.
And why didn't Allah just call it the Sirah of Moses and the Sirah of Jesus?
Call it something different, right? Call it something different.
Yeah.
Or the Hadith of Jesus and the Hadith of Moses.
But the Quran over and over uses this word book to refer to all the books. That's why in some instances, like in, for example, chapter 2, verse 2, for example, when it says that book, there is no doubt in it, that's why there's a variation of interpretations there. A lot of people are saying that's the Quran, but then you have some people saying, oh, that's actually the Bible, that's the Torah, that's the Injil, because Allah uses this term, the book. That's why Christians and Jews are called the people of the book for all his books.
They weren't called the people of the tafsir or the people of the Sirah. Okay?
So he's calling Allah a liar.
And the book is used for the Quran and it's used for the Torah and the Gospel. Hence, we are called the people of the book. Oh dear. Look at David still chewing. You okay?
I went back.
Just don't swallow it.
We're going to see here. Let's go.
Is the same thing as the Quran. Think about that. Now that we've really had time to reflect and internalize what the Quran is, the book of Allah, how different is the Quran from a book of Sirah? If somebody was to claim that this book is the Quran, there's only two possible conclusions. Number one, this person clearly does not know what they're talking about. Or number two, this person is clearly lying.
This is why I titled this. This is why I titled this that Allah's lying. Did you guys catch that?
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Everyone understand. Everyone understand. Follow the reasoning here. Follow the reasoning. Matter of fact, let me read you a hadith because he's bragging about the hadiths and their awesome reliability. Hey, let me give you a hadith that's super reliable. There you go. Look, grade Sahih right there. This is Jami at-Tirmidhi, 2653, ladies and gentlemen. Narrated Jubair from Abu Darda, who said, "We were with the Prophet when he raised his sight to the sky. Then he said, 'This is the time when knowledge is to be taken away from the people.'" Yeah, you can look at Saajid and see Muhammad was right about this one. "Until what remains of it shall not amount to anything." Yep, Saajid's knowledge amounts to nothing, according to Muhammad. So Ziyad bin Labid al-Ansari said, "How will it be taken from us while we recite the Quran? By Allah, we recite it and our women and children recite it." Think about what Muhammad's saying. He's saying knowledge is to be taken away from his community. And a Muslim, one of his followers, objects, "Wait a minute, how can knowledge depart from us when we have the Quran? We're sitting here, we're reciting the Quran. We've got the Quran. Knowledge can't depart from us. We've got the knowledge. We're like Saajid. We've got the Quran. Look, different colors. We've got it. Oh, look, starts with 3 letters. We've got it. How can knowledge depart from us? It's impossible, Muhammad." How does Muhammad respond? He said, "May you be bereaved of your mother, O Ziyad." Pretty nice. Pretty nice to how he responds to someone trying to defend the Quran. "I used to consider you among the fuqaha of the people of Al-Medina." Those are the scholars or jurists. "The Torah and the Injil are with the Jews and Christians, but what do they avail of them?"
Oh, did he just call the Torah and the Injil the Torah and the Injil? He didn't call it Sirah books or Hadith books. So he's wrong. Muhammad is wrong.
Wow, he's a liar according to Saajid?
Or he doesn't know what he's talking about. These are the two options.
What's going on, Saajid?
Wow.
You guys see the reasoning, by the way? Everyone is watching. Do you see the reasoning? Because Saajid, when he sees Torah and the Injil with the Jews and Christians, he would say, "No, they're not with the Jews and Christians. They're just, it's some other book. It's like Sirah. It's like Sirah. It's something else. It's just like Sirah." Okay, what does your prophet call them? What does your prophet call them? You said, Saajid, you said, not me, you said that if someone were to call the Sirah the Quran, how wrong they would be. They would have, your words, you said they would have to be completely ignorant or a total liar, right? You said that. Okay. What does your prophet call the books that we have, that Jews and Christians have? What does he call them? You say that we have something that's more like the Sirah. What does your prophet call them? Your prophet calls them the Torah and the Gospel. You said that would be wrong and that the only way someone would call the Sirah, the Quran, the only way that someone would call our book the Torah and the Gospel, the Torah and the Injil, the only way someone would do this is if they're ignorant or deceptive. What's that mean? It means your prophet is either ignorant or deceptive. And since your God repeatedly calls our books the Torah and the Gospel, that would mean your God is either ignorant or deceptive. Now, I'm going to assume that you believe that your God is all-knowing, and so you don't want to say he's ignorant. So that would leave you with what? Your God is deceptive. But with Muhammad, you could go with ignorant or deceptive. So you tell us, was Muhammad ignorant about the Torah and the Injil, or was he deceptive, Saajid? It's one or the other. You said those are the only two possibilities. You said that, Saajid. Do you agree, Saajid? Does everyone understand this? Because I feel like this is so easy to understand, and he still doesn't get it.
It's very clear. It's basically saying you should name things how they are. We don't name the Quran the Hadith. They don't name the Hadith, even though it has part of the Quran, blah, blah. And he's trying to apply it to us, saying we may have some of God's words, but the rest isn't. But that means it should have a different name.
Yeah. And as DOC was pointing out, why not call it Sirah? Why not call it the Sirah of Moses, the Sirah of something? Why is he calling it the exact same names as the books? You said that would be wrong. I think I have to, because this is a long live stream, I think I'm just going to have to like make a short video on this, just pointing out that he, oopsie, just called both his God and his prophet either ignorant or liars. Or both. I guess you could say both. But I guess if you got a liar like Hafs transmitting the Quran that you think is perfectly preserved.
I think he's just so desperate to answer and make our books not preserved that he just didn't realize that he was throwing them under the bus, his God and his prophet.
By the way, that's exactly what it seems like to me. It seems like he's just perpetually enraged about the Bible. Like, I hate the Bible, 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 I hate the Bible. But your God confirms the Bible. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. You don't even understand what you're talking about. And he just freaks out, and he's not even thinking about what he's saying, not even realizing how he's... In other words, he is willing to throw his own God, his own prophet, his own book, all of that under the bus forever, as long as he can keep attacking the Bible and being completely inconsistent.
He can't be a Muslim. He can't be a Muslim. Be a theist or a agnostic or something if you don't want to be atheist.
Yeah, Saajid, just be a generic theist and say, I hate the Bible. You clearly hate the Quran, the way you're treating it. Yeah. So just say, I reject all these books. I reject them all. They're all garbage, and I just believe in God. Just do that. You're making no sense here by saying, I believe in this religion when I'm contradicting everything it says. And I'm constantly attacking my own God, my own prophet, calling them ignorant and deceivers. Oh, I wonder if he's got anything else here. Let's see.
The book of Sirah is actually more authentic than the Bible. So the point is, the Bible is further.
So the Bible's less reliable than the Sirah, and yet your God and your prophet call them the Torah and the gospel. Weird.
And they confirm it over and over and over and over again.
Confirm it over and over again.
Where does his Quran ever say that he affirms the Sirah?
It doesn't.
Okay. But we can show you time and time and time and time again where he affirms the Torah, the Injil, all of these books.
Everyone get that? Allah says, I affirm the Torah and the gospel. I affirm what the Jews and Christians have. I affirm them. I affirm their books, and they have to judge by them. Where does he command people to judge by the Sirah? Where does he say he confirms the Sirah? Where does he say any of that about the Sirah? He doesn't. And Saajid says, I'm going to say that the Sirah is more reliable than the books that Allah and my prophet affirm. What is this? What is this? And we're telling him, is whatever you are following right now, it is not Islam, dude. You are so far away from Islam. Again, it's the guy who's sitting here eating pages of the Quran is actually closer to Islam than you, dude. That's how screwed up you are right now. I'm at least letting your God speak for himself. You don't even do that.
Yeah, and the irony of all ironies is, even apart from the Quran, which appeals to the Injil and appeals to the Torah, this very Sirah, it appeals to the Gospel of John. Yep. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, doesn't quote some other gospel that it doesn't quote some gospel of Jesus.
It doesn't call it the Sirah of John or Jesus.
The hadith of Jesus.
Yeah, it says this is the gospel, and then it quotes the Gospel of John according to John.
Mm-hmm.
Being the Torah or the Injil, then Sirah ibn Ishaq is from being the Quran, which clearly it isn't. So when any of these Christian apologists try to make the claim that the Quran affirms the Bible, understand that is like saying when the Quran itself talks about the Quran, it's referring to Sirah ibn Ishaq. What the Quran affirms is that Musa alayhi salam was given a book of Allah, which is called the Torah. What the Quran affirms is that Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, peace be upon him, was given a book of Allah.
Guys, everyone who's watching, this is something that every Dawah guy does. He says, no. What Allah says is that Moses was given a book, the Torah. Jesus was given a book, the gospel, the Injil. That's all it's saying. Liar, Saajid, you are a freaking liar, a despicable liar. You know that's not all it says. It also says we have them. Why are you leaving that out? Oh, it just says that there's these books that were given. That's all it says. That's all it says. No, it says we have them. It says we read them. It says we have to judge by them. I just pulled up a hadith from your prophet saying we have them. How are you saying that all Islam says is that Moses and Jesus were given these books? You are a liar, Saajid. You are a flat out 100% grade A liar at this point. I used to think better of you. I do not think that. I think you are as despicable a liar as any Dawah guy. You may be into different things. from Muhammad Hijab, but you're every bit as much of a liar as he is.
100%. I 100% agree. This guy is a huge liar. He's the Quran.
Like Hafs, dude, you are the Hafs of this generation, man.
Yeah.
A liar.
He should rename himself from Saajid, name himself the Hafs.
Yeah.
Because that's what he is. He's a liar. The Quran is only affirming that Musa was given a book. And it's only affirming that Isa was given a book. Dude, it says over and over and over and over again that it's confirming what's in their hands, what's with them. It says that they read it with the true recital.
True recital of the book. What book, Saajid?
What book? Like, it's not just saying, they were given a book. That's it. No, in Muhammad's time, there were the books existed. The book of the gospel existed. The book of the Torah existed. The Bible existed in book form. The Quran is saying that it's read. In fact, it says that Muhammad is written, 7 verse 157. He's written in these books. So over and over and over again, and in fact, Muhammad is said to ask the people who read the book before you. In chapter 10,
Catch that,
verse 94.
Saajid? What book? Saajid, you're saying it's not a book of Allah. Why is Muhammad told to go and verify his revelations with people who are reading a book that's not from the book of Allah? That's not a book of Allah. Why? It's just Sirah. It's just made up later Sirah. Why would he be sent to verify his revelations with something that's not a book of Allah? How would that confirm that his revelations are from Allah? You make no sense, dude. And you don't get it. You believe a dawah script. You do not believe in the Quran. You don't. You don't believe in the Quran. You don't believe in your prophet. You believe in a dawah script that contradicts you. What does that mean? It means you believe men and not Allah. And that, according to your own prophet, makes you a mushrik.
Yep.
This Quran is an example of what a book of Allah looks like. And the Bible is nothing like this. If you know what the Bible is, it doesn't even pretend to be this, but rather the Bible
But Allah pretends it is
a less authentic version of something more like this. And if people understand how far the Bible is from the actual Injil, the actual Torah, then
so Allah says that we have the Injil and the Torah, and you're saying if people understand how far the Injil and the Torah are from the Injil and the Torah, what? We'll be confused why Allah's calling them the Injil and the Torah?
they will see how the entire idea of an Islamic dilemma completely crumbles. Because
that's not what we're
everything
saying
about
at all,
their
buddy.
dilemma depends on somebody falsely conceding to the idea that the Bible is the Torah or the Injil.
Because Allah says it. Everything in the Islamic dilemma depends on us taking Allah's word seriously when he says Torah and gospel. And so if you just don't take Allah very seriously and you assume when he says Torah and gospel that he's not talking about Torah and the gospel and that he's just saying Sirah, then the Islamic dilemma falls apart. Great, Saajid. I think he's done here. Let's see.
Best, thank you for watching. Inshallah, we will continue in future videos.
Oh,
May
great.
Allah guide all of us. May Allah forgive us our shortcomings. Jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanaka Allah.
Keep them coming, Saajid. Keep them coming. You're doing a bang-up job, buddy.
Yeah. You know what he's also saying is that and this is something that he's been saying throughout, but he's saying that these will have to include the teachings of Moses, the teachings of Jesus. And he's saying that actually what we have today, it's more like a biography. It's not actually the teachings. Well, guess what? The Quran describes, falsely, wrongly, but it tries to describe the birth of Jesus. That's a biographical detail. It's not a teaching, right? It's not a commandment. It's just giving you a detail saying, hey, look, this is where he was born. He was born,
And
his
with
mother.
Moses. And with Moses.
And with
too.
Moses as well. So
And with everyone, with Mary, it's Mary went here and did this, and Mary gave birth, and Mary did this. It's all just biographical stuff. But if the Bible contains biographical stuff, it's Sirah, and you can't trust it. So he's throwing out massive portions of the Quran here and saying they're just Sirah.
Yeah, so the Quran can contain biographical details, and he still thinks that it's the Quran because it's written in color and stuff, and he can
It's got three letters. It's got three letters. If it doesn't have three letters, it's not from God.
It's got no quotation marks and whatever else.
It's
But the
extremely
Bible
dumb,
thinks-
extremely dumb, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And what's funny is that the passages in the Bible that he was talking about were actually teachings. Like he was giving the teachings about divorce, adultery. Those are teachings that Jesus taught. Those are commandments. So he knows that the Bible contains commands and teachings. Also, it includes biographical details,
Just like the Quran.
just like the Quran does.
But
And also,
if
It
the Bible
provided no-
contains biographical material, it's just, it's Sirah, and you can't even call it the Bible. I mean, you can't even call it a book of Allah. What is this? What is this?
Unreal. What a
This is
liar.
insanely stupid.
Yeah, he's definitely degraded in my eyes as well. Like when we first started this, all of us had a much higher view of Saajid. We thought, yeah, this guy, he's got an education. He doesn't get down like the other Dawa guys. Come to find out, his education is just as low as like an Ali Dawa. He also has the ability to just lie nonstop, just like Ali Dawa or any of the other Dawa guys. I mean, he's no better than any of them. I mean, Saajid, you're not winning anyone over to. I mean, first of all, you're not winning over anyone to Islam, but you're not even winning people over to your character. Like now, we think of you lower because you're proving that you're a liar. You don't care at all, and your whole thing is just to get people off topic as well. This is all a big distraction from the Islamic dilemma.
And your book paid the price, Saajid. That's on you. I warned you. Don't say I didn't warn you. I've got the video of me warning you. And that warning holds for the future. You're going to respond to the Islamic dilemma, actually respond to something that we're bringing up. All you're doing right now is lying, trying to trick people, and throwing up smoke screens. That's all you're doing.
That's all it is.
And so if you're going to treat your own book, if you're going to treat your own book like this, don't complain when I treat it exactly how you're treating it.
Yeah. And all those non sequiturs. So, it's got 3 random letters. It's got colors. Well, therefore, it's the word of Allah, and there's nothing like it, dude.
Hey, Saajid, I'm gonna show you what you're like, buddy. I'm gonna show you what you're like right here. Something happened way back in the day with the Quran. Look at this. Surah 15, same chapter you quoted, Saajid. You quoted chapter 15, verse 9. I'll quote verses 90 to 91. Yusuf Ali, we got the Yusuf Ali, the Shakir, and the Palmer. Yusuf Ali. Of just such wrath as we sent down on those who divided Scripture into arbitrary parts, so also on such as have made the Quran into shreds as they please. That's Yusuf Ali Shakir. Like as when we sent down on the dividers, those who made the Quran into shreds. They shredded the Quran. And then Palmer, as we sent down punishment on the separatists who dismember the Quran. They dismember it. Your poor book was dismembered, Saajid. It was dismembered. Why am I pointing this out? Well, Saajid will say, what that means, and I'll go to the tafsir and show what that means. Saajid, you know as well as I, if the Quran said that about the Torah, the Gospel, you'd say, there's the proof that your book's been corrupted. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say one word like that about the Torah and the Gospel. The harshest language the Quran ever uses of any book is used of the Quran. When it says the Quran was dismembered, the Quran was shredded. But you won't care about that. But I'm not even trying to make a point about the corruption of the Quran and so on. I'm making a point about you. This is what you do. This is how you treat your book. When you're saying the Quran only says that Moses and Jesus had a book, and that's all it's saying, when that's not all it's saying. It's saying that we have it, and it's commanding us to judge by it, and it's saying that we read it, and it's appealing to the books we have as evidence of Muhammad, and you act like that's not what are you doing? You're dismembering the Quran. You're dismembering it. You've dismembered the Quran, buddy. All right, I'm sick of Saajid now, but we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Let's go through these super chats here. Every accusation Islam makes against Christianity is just a confession of what they're guilty of doing. Hi, Giant DOC. Oh, David is here too. Hi, I guess. Yep, that is correct. You're correct.
Hello.
My favorite page to color is the one where Mo is meeting up with naked desert men. It used up all my dark crayons though, coloring in those. Repeat that. Very rude. Did Saajid write a children's book about marriage?
Huh.
And just remember, if there are signs of maturity when you're 3, Daniel Hakikachu says, oh boy. Fatih, you dropped this brain just like your prophet dropped the soap in front of Al-Zut. Very rude. Wait, Fatih's still here? What is this? I asked the audience, please read what Muhammad Assad actually said on 3-3-4. His translation.
He's still going on about this?
And comments are online. David, I dare you to show them. You can't. Yeah, because they're.
You can't? Oh, man.
I mean, so I've got it around here somewhere. If you mean I don't have a digital version of it, why? I literally just read it to you. What do you keep in mind? Muhammad Assad is a guy who believes that the Torah and the gospel has been corrupted. He understands that the Quran says they're corrupted. He's pointing out that by saying Baina Yaday, it's saying something that still existed. Dude, if you keep calling me a liar when I'm sitting here reading it from a page from it, and you're saying I'm a liar, I'm just going to block you for lying. So don't come in with that nonsense. Second live, you skipped my chat, Kafir. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I didn't. I'll block you too, Giovanni. Keep saying I didn't read your super chat when I'm literally going down the line here. That explains why Muhammad's children resembled the Zut. That does explain things. And I'll block you too for making fun of Muhammad. Poor kids. You see, Dawood said, pointing fingers, Allah is al-Zuting expected from dua, boys, Giant DOC base, Christ is risen. Oh, hi, Dr. Holtz. God bless you all. Yeah, we have to change from peace be upon him to al-Zut be upon him.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys think Saajid is responding to you, but in reality, he's responding to YouTuber children apologists, but he still can't get a win. Yeah, maybe. We keep thinking he's responding to us. Maybe he's just responding to little 4-year-olds who are bringing up the Islamic dilemma.
That's true. I mean, he didn't actually name us, did he? So
that's true. Maybe he's responding to 4-year-olds. Does every time a Muslim super chat they are doing reverse jizya? Yeah, they're giving me money, an acknowledgement of their inferior arguments. No, Allah doesn't need university. It don't befit His Majesty. You see, I make bigger argument. I win, you lose stronger. Me strong than you. All of this is correct. That is dawah. This is an authentic hadith of the teachings of Muhammad written, but how many years after he died?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Bukhari, 2 centuries after the events. Mission Imam possible here. Nabil's former friend, Oxford student. The UK's election results significantly impact email plan I sent you. If I resend, will you be able to check it out and let me know if there's interest in the project? Yeah, I read that. I would have some modification suggestions, but yeah, send me an update based on what happened in the UK because I'm not familiar with that. I love how everyone picked up the high-pitched book. Yeah, everyone, you got to say book from up and D. You're all wrong. Hafs shows how reliable he is by not stroking his beard in public. That is correct. Al-Bukhari was a coerced Bukharian Jewish convert who deliberately sabotaged Islam by documenting its sickness. He planted a time bomb to expose its nature in the information age. You could explain everything was actually Mossad. Mossad is responsible for all this. They inserted all this stuff knowing how we would be able to use it in the future. They reject Bible by eyewitness, no chain required. I wonder if this chain of narration was created after they burnt all the variants to try and cover up the clear human intervention. Yeah, that's a silly method. We literally have lists of transmitters for the Gospels. Look up apostolic succession lines plus reliable manuscript trains to back it up. Regardless, it's not how you do it. I mean, you'd have someone like Matthew, let's say, and Matthew writes a gospel. It circulates. It circulates all over the place. Eventually, it's compiled into a Bible. And these guys are saying, "Where's your list of? What are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? Where's your list of names in this method that we invented later? What are you talking about? Who does history like that? People don't do history like that today. They have the stupidest methodology of all time." And then it's somehow everyone is supposed to be impressed by this, and no one else in history knows how to do history except these guys. It's like insane and delusional. And you see the results. They can't understand basic arguments. How can they claim the Bible is corrupted since eyewitnesses wrote it, then point to their book? Did Allah hand it to Mo with his 2 right hands? Then they point to their
dropped out of the sky,
Yeah.
like the cow.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, think the main takeaway. So we've got actually understanding how the Bible is transmitted and so on. We've got textual criticism. We've got things like that. None of that is the real issue. The real issue is their book affirms our book. Their book affirms the inspiration of our book, the preservation of our book, the authority of our book, even over the Quran itself. And Saajid wants to pretend that it only affirms initial inspiration, nothing else, and that is flat out lying. He's flat out lying to his followers at this point. And I showed a hadith from Muhammad saying the same thing. Torah and the Gospel, which according to Saajid, all it says is the initial preservation of the Torah. I mean, the initial inspiration of the Torah and the Gospel. That's all that the Quran is saying. We've got not only Allah repeatedly in the Quran, we've got Muhammad himself saying the Torah and the Gospel are with the Jews and the Christians. If it's something else at that point, why does he call them Torah and the Gospel? Why? Saajid points out that it would be a huge mistake to call something that is not the Quran, but it's his God and his prophet who are calling what we have the Torah and the Gospel. And therefore his God and his prophet are either ignorant or liars. If he wanted a chain of narration for the Gospel, it is readily available. Narrated Mark, who got it from Peter, the disciple of Christ.
Nice.
Regardless, it's given by Allah and preserved and protected by Allah and guarded by the Quran itself. Candid with Lubna quit. Will D. Wood join AP's live? Yes, of course.
No, D. Wood is boycotting AP.
Yep. It will become a
tsunami.
Indeed. It will become a tsunami. Get your testimonies ready, guys. The harvest is ready and the workers are few. Pray and try to be ready. And will Muhammad Hijab star in Brokeback Desert? We don't know what's going on with Muhammad Hijab, but it's not pretty. But we'll be going through some Muhammad Hijab stuff tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe this will be the last one because I don't know what could possibly come out after this crazy stuff. But looking really bad for Muhammad Hijab. So just wanted very quickly show people what we're talking about. According to Saajid, this stuff is not in the Quran. The Quran does not say this stuff. Ready? O children of Israel. These is talking to Jews of Muhammad's time. Surah 2, verse 40. O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and fulfill my covenant with me as I fulfill my covenant with you, and fear none but me. Here we go. And believe in what I reveal, confirming the revelation which is with you. Confirming the revelation which is with you. Confirming the revelation which is with you. No, the Bible's only saying that the Torah was given to Moses, not saying that people during the Muhammad's time have it. Confirming the revelation which is with you. We got verse 42, cover not truth with falsehood, nor conceal the truth while you know it. How do you know it? How do you know what the truth is if you don't have the book, according to Saajid? Verse 43, and be steadfast in prayer, practice regular charity, bow down your heads with those who bow down in worship. Verse 44, do you enjoin right conduct on people and forget to practice it yourselves, and yet you study the scripture, the book. What do we study? According to Saajid, it's not from God. It's not a book from God. What do you have here? Verse 85. So it's a long verse. Look right in the middle of it. This is criticizing Jews for not following all of their book. Look right in the middle of the verse. Then is it only a part of the book that you believe in, and do you reject the rest? Talking about their book, the Torah. Do you only believe in part of your book, and do you reject the rest? But what is the reward for those among you who behave like this, but disgrace in this life? And on the day of judgment, they shall be consigned to the most grievous penalty. What does Saajid believe? No. The book that Jews and Christians have is filled with a bunch of stuff that's not the book. It's not from Allah. Okay, so why does he say we have to believe in all of it? Why does he say he will send us to hell for not believing in all of it? You're saying we shouldn't believe in all of it. Why are you saying the opposite of what your God says, Saajid? Verse 89, and when there comes to them a book from God confirming what is with them. Saajid, is it confirming what's with us? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. Only an idiot would think that. Only a liar would say that. And so Allah says it, so he's an idiot or a liar, one or the other, or both. Verse 91, when it is said to them, believe in what God hath sent down, they say, we believe in what was sent down to us. Yet they reject all besides, even if it be truth, confirming what is with them. Confirming what is with them. What is it that Allah is confirming that is with us, Saajid? Verse 101, and when there came to them an apostle from God, confirming what was with them, a party of the people of the book, threw away the book. Saajid said it's not a book of God. But it says they threw away the book of God behind their backs as if it was something they did not know. Wow. 121, those to whom we have sent the book, study it as it should be studied. They are the ones who believe therein. Those who reject faith, the loss is their own. Saajid. Don't know what to do at this point, guys.
I really hope Saajid delivers on the next video, or I think the Quran is really gonna have to pay. Honestly,
He won't deliver. This is terrible.
it's really bad, Saajid, and we know that you watch these streams.
We do.
Why don't you respond to them?
Yep.
Just any one of them. Pick any of the streams that you've seen in the past couple weeks. Pick any of them and just respond to any of them. Any of them. That's what we want.
Yeah, just go point by point.
And
Something.
Saajid, at least respond to at least one verse that we actually use that's actually important. So you made a terrible video about 543. So make another one about your next video. Make one 547, 1094, 285, 7157. Really good one, 568. Really good one. Make one about 568. Why does Allah command us to judge by the Torah and the Gospel when, according to you, we don't have the Torah and the Gospel, and it makes only a liar would call what we have the Torah and the Gospel? Tell us why you think Allah is a liar and that he's leading us astray by telling us to judge by a book that we don't have. Interested in knowing. All right, last two super chats here. Mo knows very well that Brown is dominant. He does understand the genetics. He learned that from the night of Al-Zut. We have no pope. We hope that through Christ we get a great pope to lead us. God bless you, Daoud and Jai and the DOC. We've said repeatedly they should get AP as pope, but they're not listening to us, sadly. All right, guys, any final thoughts before we close out? This has been another travesty, just watching him. I mean, seriously, I don't think this is what he's doing, but it seems like it. It seems like he's trying to wear us down by being as terrible as possible till we just give up. It's like, this is too annoying to respond to because it's so insanely stupid. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I thought at some point he's trolling us, he's baiting us with like silly things that he knows we'll just give up, and then he'll have the last word and think this is actually it. That he's won. But you know what? Dawah has really deteriorated since I was Muslima. Like, people who like tried to do Ahmed Didat stuff, the Zakir Naik, a little worse, but not this bad. This is real bad. Really bad. Like, it's something that you can debunk just from a verse from the Quran, which isn't even a great book to quote for anything. And you can just quote a verse and debunk him. And he didn't show any proof that Muhammad said, you know how far this Torah and Gospel is from the real revelation? He's just talking from his brain. It's terrible.
It is.
Yeah.
It's all like Dawah script. It's like, this is the Dawah script, so I'm going to keep saying this. And we're pointing out, dude, what you were taught with the Dawah script makes no sense given what the Quran says. You were saying the exact what you were saying with the Dawah script is the exact opposite of what Allah says. And he says, they say that I'm wrong because of the Dawah script, but let me just tell you more about the Dawah script. And that's it.
Yeah, man. I really hope that not just Saajid, but I hope other Muslims are listening to this and they're seeing this. There's got to be a few of you out there who can acknowledge that Saajid is not engaging with the Islamic dilemma. Be at least honest enough to admit that, okay? You can see what we're saying. If you're watching us up until this point, then we pray that, we really pray for you, because honestly, if you're watching us from this point and you're still a Muslim after seeing everything that we've said and shown everything that we've shown, but that's what I have to say. The Muslims who are watching this, who are trying to see what both sides have to say, we hope you guys can see that we are engaging on the topic, presenting the truth of the matter. We're not lying about your sources. We don't believe in your sources. We're very upfront about that, but we tell you what they say. And if you're going to be consistent, and if you're going to claim to believe in the Quran, you're going to claim to believe in Allah, well, guess what? You're going to have to affirm the preservation, the inspiration, preservation, authority of the Bible. You're going to have to do that. And you're going to have to leave Islam and come to the Lord Jesus Christ if you're consistent. So that's our hope and our prayer for you, the Muslim, any non-Christian who's watching. That's our prayer for them as well. But specifically for these Muslims, we're trying to reach and get to understand these points. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
And as Jai was just pointing out, notice we're actually engaging with the material. We're sitting here playing Saajid's videos. We're playing his arguments for him. Everyone on our side is hearing everything they have to say. We're showing you everything they have to say. Every point they're making, we're showing you the point so that you can make an informed decision. These guys have to play hide and seek with their stuff. And notice, they're not responding to almost anything we say. He's responded to, in 6 videos, he's responded to one of the verses we go to. In 6 videos, one of the verses. Everything else is just smokescreen. So we're sitting there going systematically through everything he says and showing why he's completely wrong, not according to us, according to his own book and his own prophet. And he's pretending that he's not even responding to us, and who knows who he's responding to, and just, let me tell you, this is what a book looks like. This is a page. All pretending. Who do you think's got the truth on their side? Someone who has a methodology like ours, where we lay down our position, and then we sit here and go through all of their responses systematically, and we go through their book carefully, and we show you what we're quoting from their book, and we show you what we're saying according to the hadith, and we show you what we're saying according to their commentaries. We show you everything, and we constantly and consistently invite them, like right now, Saajid, if you want to show us that we're wrong, join us live. Bring whoever you want. Bring your greatest scholar. Bring your favorite scholar on the planet. Bring him too. We're the ones saying that. They're the ones playing hide and seek. Who do you think's got the truth here? Last 2 super chats real quick. I love your continuous courage and insight, Jai and DOC. Wondered if you may ever put a smiley faces or mood emojis for your picture. That would be an interesting watch. Oh, hi, David. Oh, I think here in the near future you'll be getting the smiley faces of
Yes.
Jai and DOC, but not emojis. You'll just get the smiley faces.
You'll get smiley faces soon, God willing.
Yeah. And Saajid has to say it. This was the reason he joined Islam. Yeah, this is the reason I joined Islam, because of the perfect preservation of the Quran, and because the Quran says the Bible's been corrupted. Saajid, your book hasn't been perfectly preserved, and the Quran affirms our book. Then I'll just lie forever. He. This is what Islam does to you. You may have you enter for the lies, but then you stay for different lies. That's how it works.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. We're going to keep at this because it seems like he's going to keep going for a while. I'll be impressed if he keeps going with this for very long. Because the one thing you don't want to do is you don't really want to talk too much about the verses we use, because that puts the verses we're using in the minds of Muslims, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep them ignorant of this. All right, so we'll keep up with Saajid, and the next time he posts a video, we'll go through that too. And I'll probably post a short video about this, because it would be interesting for people to know how he just threw his God and his prophet under the bus. But more to come on that, and I'll be live with AP in a few minutes as we're going through the situation with Lubna, which sounds pretty messed up and, yeah, pathetic on the part of Islam that they have to still silence people. All right, see everyone in a few.